A little less tense this morning than yesterday, but that's all right. Let's see if we can't start some trouble throughout the course of the next 3 hours. Robert, Lucas, me with you until 1 o'clock. Jason Fitz will be with us in the noon hour. Tuesday, typically a college football day, though there are still Titans topics to discuss. We had a fun Monday night football game to put a cap or a bow on week 1 in the NFL with J.J. McCarthy leading a comeback against the Chicago Bears. Bears fans down tremendous today, and there will be plenty of time to talk about all of these things. But I mentioned that Robert, Lucas, and I are all with you today. Yesterday, it did not feel like Robert was with us because we had to literally tiptoe around him for fear of him going nuclear because of the Ravens' loss to the Bills on Sunday night and risk him putting himself or others in harm's way by his actions. Are you prepared to participate in the show today? Are we going to have the burnt box in the bottom of the YouTube screen, or are you still pouting at this point in time?
I was having a good day.
I know that. I noticed because it was the normal start to a day. You were joking around, you're screwing around, you're having a good time with everybody prior to the show beginning, and I looked at Lucas and I said, "Oh, what a nice change of pace from yesterday, where Brett Kern is scared to make jokes to try and put a smile on your face because you look like you are going to hurt yourself or others."
I don't need jokes. I can tell jokes. I can make myself laugh. I appreciate that from Kern trying to bring me out of it.
Oh, you said you don't need Brett Kern's charity.
I don't need, let's try to make sad boy laugh. Oh, yes, come over here. Come laugh for us, sad boy. No, I don't need that. I don't need that. Oh, let's see if we can make him stop feeling upset. No, that never works. That never works.
Come laugh for us,
Listen,
sad boy.
When I tell you.
I'll bring you a sad boy radio hat. I have a few left over. Turns out we may need them.
I love this team so much. I would if they told me.
Which team?
The Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
If they told me, hey, we need you to die for us to win a Super Bowl, first thing I'm doing, going to Cheyenne, putting a baby in her, and then I'm going to whatever demonic sacrifice they need me for to do this.
God.
I hate out of love. And yesterday was a tough day for me. I didn't call out. I came in. I did my job.
No,
I could have been like,
you did most of your job.
No, my job is not to talk. It has been made painfully clear I don't get paid to talk. So I did my job yesterday.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that you paid Ross $40 to do primetime, so you wouldn't have to listen to me for another hour.
I paid Ross to do primetime because primetime is at the most awful time of the night.
It's
where
not convenient.
Every single night, I can never have a night with Cheyenne, which is not true because I get to have another night with Cheyenne, which is Tuesday. But I wanted to watch the game last night. I wanted to get my mind removed from this. Cheyenne and I had a great time. We went to Tractor Supply. I tried to convince her to let me buy a duck. She said no, that's fine.
Duck?
Yes, a duck. They're only $9. Did you know that?
And they're awesome.
Dude, I want a backyard duck so bad.
What are you going to turn into the hillbilly version of Joey and Chandler from Friends? You're going to keep a duck in the bathtub?
That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. He wouldn't stay in the bathtub, though.
Watching the ducks' dynamics with your cats would be just endless entertainment.
Well, you also can't buy just one duck. They are like a social construct.
That's what the cats are for.
They need well, I would get...
I'm sure Stoney and what's the other one's name?
Winston and Paris.
Oh, okay.
But I call him Stoney.
Okay.
Stoney Baloney. My little Stoney boy. I think that Stoney would probably try to kill the duck, and Cheyenne was correct on that affirmation. So I'm going to go buy some fence postings and some chicken wire, and I'm going to create a habitat for my ducks.
Well, Robert was down bad yesterday. Titans fans obviously were down bad yesterday and just trying to come out of it this week as the focus is shifted by the football team to week 2, the home opener against the Rams. Bears fans got to be feeling like after the opening drive of marching right down the field where it was, oh, look at us. We've got a competent coach. We've got an offensive quarterbacking guru head coach. And at the end of the game, it was, here we go again, probably, for the Chicago Bears fan base. And J.J. McCarthy, man, how about the poise?
Especially after the pick 6.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that is playing in his hometown. It was very well documented by Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on the broadcast. Pretty crazy, by the way, that he's playing in Chicago, where he attended a game when he was 4 years old. His first ever Bears game at Soldier Field was against the Vikings.
Lifelong Bears fan.
The ties were pretty crazy. And then he's also the first Vikings QB to throw multiple touchdowns in his debut since Fran Tarkenton, who did it against the Bears. So sometimes the stars just align. They didn't have a third down converted at halftime. Comes out, throws a pick six in the third quarter. You can see him on the sideline, like coaching up his team, continuing to come back around.
No, heading into the fourth, I'm pretty sure he only had 56 passing yards.
And then he finishes 13 of 20 for 143, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception, and also a rushing score. 3 total touchdowns on the day, and he leads them back from down 11 in the fourth quarter to win in Chicago. That was impressive stuff from the first-time starting quarterback.
So this is going to be something that's cataloged all year long. Did the Vikings make the right choice in moving on from Sam Darnold and putting J.J. McCarthy, an unknown to us, but not an unknown to them, right? I mean, I'm sure there's still certain parts of his game that they need to figure out, and he's by no means a finished product, but they made him a first-round draft pick for a reason. They obviously believe in the talent of the player. And yesterday, they were rewarded with the commitment to, letting him iron out some of the kinks of the first 3 quarters of the game, and he delivered in spectacular fashion. On the other side, Caleb Williams, who I think, as you watched some of the things that were happening in that game, there are some things to be reassured about if you're a Bears fan or a Ben Johnson supporter or a Caleb Williams decrier. Like, there are some things there that you will probably feel better about a few days removed from the sting of last night. But it's going to take some time for Bears fans who live this life perpetually, who probably would have felt like this last year in their opener too, had Will Levis not thrown a pick six and the Bears hadn't blocked a punt against the Titans that they were able to capitalize on. Because remember in that game, Lucas, he had like 87 passing yards in his debut.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. And then he was and that got him to be the first rookie quarterback to win in his first start, week 1
in 23
of his rookie year
years.
Since David Carr in the early 2000s with Houston. There was plenty to be encouraged about. Like, Caleb Williams did some fun stuff in this game, man. Like, the way that Robert and I were watching some of the highlights this morning, and even Robert brought up just that slight Lamar comparison, just the way that he's able to wheel out of the pocket and somehow outrun an entire defense, even though he's going backwards about 20 yards and then just creeping back up towards the sideline. Next thing you know, it's a first down and more run for Caleb Williams. But, yeah, that final drive, the DJ Moore miss on the left side of the field where he's just too late to get his eyes up to Moore running downfield, like, that's a touchdown, and that puts you in a position to kick the ball off well before the 2-minute warning, which they were still able to do, but Cairo Santos unable to get it out of the back of the end zone, which, by the way, in that moment, like, just kick it out of bounds, right? If they get a first down, you're done anyway. Just kick it out of bounds. Ensure that there's not going to be a return rather than doing the more difficult thing of kicking it all the way out of the back of the end zone. But I digress. Fun stuff from Caleb Williams, but also some concern for a Bears offense that looked like it was on track to only have 1 touchdown in the second half until that late push. I mean, they had -1 yards in the fourth quarter until that final drive.
He's being it's being documented now. I don't know how much of the stuff you read after the game, but from 2 different perspectives, right? One, Minnesota, where they're celebrating the victory, the comeback, and all the different things. And in Chicago, at least on The Athletic, it's being treated as Ben Johnson's welcome to the Bears moment, kind of like Cam Ward's father doubled over. So, welcome to the Titans moment.
Yeah. So
this is his disastrous opener is kind of his indoctrination into the fan base and the franchise. Hey, bud, we've been living this life for a long time. Welcome to the party.
It wasn't the prettiest game. Like, both teams were pretty bad on third downs, right? Obviously, the Vikings don't get going until the fourth quarter. The Bears stalled out pretty much after their opening drive offensively. But it was just impressive from J.J. McCarthy to just kind of hang in that environment in his first career start. All the pressure that's on him.
No, for sure.
They let go of the guy that led them to a 15-win season for you. And it was impressive to watch him come back and gets the game ball in the post-game locker room. He's fired up, and so Vikings fans got to be feeling good about the way that ended.
Did you guys see the potential loophole that was talked about on Twitter with the new kicking wrinkles in the game? So instead of having to be like, okay, we're going to kick it out of the back of the end zone, so because we don't want to return, we don't care if they start on the 40, no big deal. We're going to boot the hell out of this ball. Why would you do that? Because if you kick the ball 2 feet in front of you, it still comes to the 40.
Right.
So all the Bears had to do last night was have an illegal kicking procedure. Okay, the ball didn't make it into the kickoff zone. The ball moves to the 40. Instead, they attempt to kick it out of the back of the end zone. Or like Luke was saying, kick it out of bounds. But even kicking it out of bounds has a risk of it being returned.
Yeah.
So now the loophole is if you don't want to return, just squib the ball 2 yards forward. And the ball instantly comes to the 40. So I don't know if I love that wrinkle, but I also think people would question doing that except for certain circumstances, right? Like you don't want to put Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen on the 40. But if you're facing a team that is worse or doesn't have the passing attack, and you're like, I just don't want them to have an explosive play.
And they're probably just going to run the ball anyway.
Yeah, just pooch kick it. Just pooch it.
Wouldn't it be nice to know that you have somebody who would be capable of exploiting the rules or a loophole?
Seems like you're alluding to something.
I mean, Ben Johnson didn't yesterday.
Sure. But there are other coaches who can. And if you have a coach who can't, it's a glaring and obvious thing. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on the conversation at any point. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Coordinators are going to speak today for the Titans, but Tuesday is a big college football day for us in particular, an opportunity to talk about some of the wackiness of week 2 in the sport. So we'll do some college football headlines coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. It's really the only thing that you couldn't get in Denver, Colorado. It's a great trip out to Denver. No Hattie B's, though. As the hot chicken overlords continue their conquest across the country, I think Denver should be their next stop. But in the meantime, Atlanta, Birmingham, Vegas, Dallas, Austin, Nashville, Tennessee, where in just about 40 minutes from now, all of their Middle Tennessee locations will be open and available, coming soon to East Nashville. I
think I need a bucket.
You need a bucket?
Yeah, I think I need a bucket.
Is that going to be the final thing required to soothe your losing weekend? What a traumatic football weekend the show collectively had.
Yeah, it'll be good until next week. We lose catastrophically again, and then I'll need another book.
Well, just don't get up by double digits and you'll be fine, famously.
Right. Jeez, who are you telling?
I could go for one of them southern salads with some cornbread croutons.
I still haven't had
skinny today.
I haven't. Yeah, cornbread croutons.
Watching my figure.
What part of your figure?
I know what part I'm watching.
Should we do some college football headlines?
Oh, they said it would be a sleepy weekend. It's not a good slate.
It was me.
You've got Oklahoma. You've got Michigan playing each other. Great. But no, really, it's about looking ahead to week 3.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Carnage, upset losses, shootouts in rivalry games.
Billy Napier, man.
Florida goes down to USF. Arizona State goes down against the Cowbells. They were clanging in Starkville, 24-20. Mississippi State rallying late to win that game. You've got Iowa State escaping against Iowa in a rivalry matchup. Missouri winning a shootout against Kansas, and John Mateer staking his claim. He is here. He has arrived in the SEC as he goes toe-to-toe with 5-star freshman Bryce Underwood and leads Oklahoma to a big win over Michigan. And how about Vanderbilt?
Yep.
Late, tight game, and then pulled away.
Where were you watching that game?
I was watching that game at a local establishment.
Okay.
With my fiance and a couple of acquaintances.
Maybe one
friends.
Maybe one I don't
people.
tip at regularly?
No, not that one.
Okay, good.
They'll
never get my
because
business.
famously, you don't tip.
No, I did tip. I tipped just fine. I tipped 10%. We only had beers.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It went from
tipped
20 to 10.
Yeah, we just had beers. She didn't even pour them. She just brought them to us.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that makes sense. See, I thought your story was 20% before.
Well, okay, but listen. Okay, half of those beers
God, it's like that
were the
caller
free
altering
beer
the truth.
tokens. They were the free beer tokens. So why should I have to tip on free beer tokens? How about they pay their workers a livable wage?
Yeah, but they don't.
Why is it my fault? I tipped her. It's not like I was like, nope, not good enough.
Some would say because of the money you saved on the beer, there should be more.
I didn't save any money. I'm broke, Lucas. I gave her what I could. I gave what I could.
How much money did you spend on cards last month?
Cards? None, because I had to buy a ring. I haven't bought cards in about a month and a half since the card show at the fairgrounds. I need one. I need one badly. If anybody would like to buy me a pack of cards.
Tyler on the F&M Bank chat says, is it crazy to say Vanderbilt is more intimidating than Bama in Florida? I'm not ready to be there with Bama. I'm not ready for that yet.
Let me say this, though, and, I'll just take the last 10 years because that's as much time as I've had or been interested in paying attention to Vanderbilt football. In the last 10 years, I've never seen a team win the way that Vanderbilt team did in the second half, where they played, 2.5 quarters of old, shaky Vanderbilt football, and then all of a sudden they're willing themselves to a win in a huge spot, dominating the opponent from that point on.
Hostile environment.
That is not the way that I'm accustomed to seeing a Vanderbilt football team win. So while I'm not willing to say that they're more intimidating than Alabama, and Florida will still have some teeth despite suffering a very bad loss over the weekend, I think that Vanderbilt, you should be encouraged. You should be delighted if you're a Vandy fan. I was sitting with a Vandy fan at dinner who was watching that on his phone and making loud noises that sounded like a dog yelping at various points as they were coming back from the deficit that Virginia Tech had them in for most of the game. It was fun. It was an awesome comeback. Congratulations to Vandy to start the season the way that they wanted to.
Tell you what, they did something South Carolina couldn't do, and Vanderbilt did it at Virginia Tech under the lights. South Carolina couldn't really get the offense going at a neutral site against that Virginia Tech team. By the way, South Carolina struggled to get out of the gates a little bit against South Carolina State this past weekend. Vanderbilt travels to South Carolina State this Saturday. There will be plenty of time to talk about that. Some sleepwalking was happening this weekend. Georgia just kind of grinded it out against Austin Peay. Another impressive performance from the Govs. Clemson survived an upset scare. Troy was in that game, man. Really late third quarter, Clemson's able to pull away, but that was a nervy game for Clemson fans who had to sit through a delay as well. Only a 27-16 win. But you had some good matchups happening this past weekend, including one in Gainesville. Oh, the game in Gainesville. This is so fun to watch. Florida falls at home to South Florida. Alex Golesh and the Bulls, who, I won't say put themselves on the map in week one, but got people's attention with the way that they beat Boise State in week one and immediately cemented themselves into the discussion of a group of 5 team as a candidate to go to the playoff, but they were dismissed because it was, but they got to go to Florida and Miami in back-to-back weeks.
You were on them, though, before they upset Boise State. Like, you were talking about that. You and maybe Pate were talking about that. And maybe I'm sure there's a certain level of college football diehard that was more closely paying attention to South Florida than the vast majority of the country. And obviously you have some level of attachment to South Florida because Alex Golesh is the former Tennessee coordinator, and you want to see those guys have success. I think it's good for you and good for Josh Heupel if they build a legitimate coaching tree, as at least Golesh seems to be in the early going. So would you say that most people were out on South Florida or not paying attention to South Florida? Because it seemed like a pretty popular upset pick.
It was, yeah, because of, I guess, them knocking off Boise State in week one.
No, I'm saying Boise State.
Oh, wait.
That USF would knock off Boise State seemed like a pretty popular upset pick.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, look, Alex Golesh's year one at South Florida was not last season, but the year prior. And I was at a wedding, the dreaded fall wedding on a Saturday in Birmingham, Alabama. One of my close friends from high school marrying another of my close friends from high school. Now, this wedding knew its audience and had multiple TVs. Smart. In the big, reception area. So I was at that wedding watching all the Alabama fans around me melt down for the way that they were struggling against this USF team in Tampa, led by Alex Golesh. I've watched Alex Golesh now for the last 2 years just chipping away. 7-6 season. They went to Tuscaloosa last year, pushed Alabama to the brink until the fourth quarter where Bama was able to break that game open a little bit. But he's been doing this now, and it finally broke for him in Gainesville. And listen, all credit in the world to South Florida. Their quarterback was excellent in this game, Byron Brown. He took care of the football, right? They were able to run the ball fairly efficiently, but they got some help in this game. Because Florida, the mismanagement late in the game. First of all, we've been talking about penalties with the Titans. 11 penalties for 103 yards. None more costly than the 2 on the final drive of the game. As South Florida gets the ball back, they're down by 1. They've got to go essentially the length of the field, about 90 yards to go down and get a touchdown. Quick pass interference on Florida, 15-yarder. And then how about another spit gate when defensive lineman Brandon Bett spits in the face of a South Florida player, is ejected, another penalty, and then South Florida is able to break one off and get into field goal range. They got into field goal range in 3 or 4 plays, and it was because of the incompetence of the Florida Gators. But the help didn't stop there. Billy Napier's timeout management in this game, it made no sense whatsoever. As South Florida was in the red zone, was getting inside the 10, and there's over a minute to go. So at this point, you're Florida. You've got 2 timeouts. They're already in range for a chip shot field goal. Your only chance in this game is to get the ball back. And Napier just hanging on to his timeouts. Just hanging on to him. It's 2nd and 4. They've got the ball inside the 15-yard line. Clock's just ticking. And even I'm screaming at the TV, like, Napier, what are you doing? And then he finally takes a timeout. But at that point, it's too late. And South Florida gets a first down. Napier takes another timeout for what reason, I do not know. It basically just gave South Florida time and an ability to hold on to their last timeout to ensure they could stop the clock for that chip shot field goal and not have to run a fire drill to get the team out there. None of it made sense from Billy Napier's perspective in this game. Florida was sloppy. They couldn't move the ball on offense. They were really dreadful offensively, to be honest. And Florida fans went from going into this season looking at their team as a playoff contender with a Heisman candidate at quarterback to AD Scott Strickland putting out the dreaded vote of confidence in a statement after week 2.
Yeah.
It's crazy how this has come all the way back around for the Florida Gators. And who do they have coming up to get right? On the road at LSU, followed by a road trip to Miami, followed by a home game against Texas, which will actually be after a bye week, followed by a road trip to Texas A&M. So good luck. Godspeed, Billy Napier. He doesn't have the ace in the hole in his back pocket that he did last year with the 5-star freshman and DJ Lagway. That's their guy that they have started with this year. I don't know what Billy Napier has to turn to right now. Now, to their credit, they improved down the stretch last year. They played some good football, but the level of patience that was there for Napier last year will not be there this year because he's not turning to Lagway. He is beginning with Lagway, and it was not good offensively on Saturday. Suddenly, you look at what's on the table for Florida in 2025. 4-8, 5-7. It's not out of the question.
4 straight games against ranked opponents coming up is going to be brutal.
And then you got Tennessee and Florida State. Oh, excuse me. Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State in your last 3 games of the season.
Yeah, man.
2 of those on the road.
They're going to be underwater. It feels like he's already underwater, right? He feels like he's drowning in the middle of this. He's 20-20 as the Florida coach.
Yep. His record is worse than any one of his fired predecessors before him when they were at this stage of their Florida tenure.
So that's who? Mullen?
Yeah, worse than Dan Mullen, worse
Ben
than Will
McElwain.
Muschamp, worse than Jim McElwain.
Jim McElwain.
So, yes, it's hard to imagine Napier surviving this season. It was hard to imagine him surviving last season, but a repeat of that feels extremely unlikely. All the credit to Alex Golish, but this was malpractice from Florida on Saturday.
The statement from the athletic director in week 2. It would have been like Amy Adams-Strunk putting out a vote of confidence statement in Brian Callahan yesterday. I mean, they feel like somewhat similar circumstances. We were on the air for this with Fox. Fitzy and I. Fitzy will be on the radio show at 12:20 today, and like keeping tabs on Clemson, sweating it out, as you said, and then seeing the way that Florida was coming down to the wire. Now, obviously, we're in the middle of hosting a radio show, so we're not living and dying on every snap of that Florida-South Florida game the way that most people around the country were, but all of a sudden to look up to see Billy Napier sitting on those timeouts and understanding the situation that they were putting themselves in. Neither of us, because I didn't have the sound on sitting in the studio in Denver that I was in, so like I didn't know what was happening. I was just genuinely confused on what is he doing? What is the logic behind the clock management circumstance or lack thereof that he's taking?
Made no
because
sense.
I didn't have the sound on. Then I go home, turn the television on, hear people talking about it afterwards just to understand that he was sitting on them.
Just sitting on 2 timeouts when they are his only chance.
So weird.
It made no sense. And to call the timeout when he did also made no sense after letting all the time run out. And then you call the timeout to allow South Florida an opportunity to reset and try to get a critical first down that will all but ensure that they win the game. It just, none of it made an inkling of sense. And it's so hard to imagine him making it to the end of the season, which could mean him not making it to the Tennessee game, which is November 22nd. It's the second to last game of the regular season coming up.
Who would you rather see as the next Florida head coach, Lane Kiffin or Cignetti?
Man, so Kiffin, it just feels like Kiffin's good.
It could be,
you know,
but he's going to come up a lot.
Yeah,
they're going to make him say no.
He's already come up for jobs like Florida and for Auburn, and it just at every turn, it's felt like Kiffin's like, I don't know, man, I've got a good situation. They had to survive, make no mistake, against Kentucky, and they did not cover, as we mentioned yesterday. He apologized.
What is it about Kentucky's defense that just puts Lane Kiffin in a headlock?
Yeah, very strange. But Austin Simmons also got knocked out of that game late. That had something to do with both teams.
He was struggling.
Both teams were with backup quarterbacks in the second half of that game. But, yeah, Billy Napier. We'll see what happens. Florida fans probably want him gone today. That just doesn't help you in this day and age. You're talking about your roster being gutted. You're talking about players still with an opportunity to preserve a red shirt, too. If you fire the coach before 4 games, how many players are going, oh, I've got this, my hammy's a little tight, and they want to shut it down to preserve that red shirt year. There's no reason to let go of Billy Napier now, but he's going to have to go through this gauntlet coming up in the next few weeks.
I don't know what you have next on your docket, so if we're heading this direction anyway, just let me know and I'll shut up. But I want to talk about Georgia and Austin Peay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that sets the table for the Tennessee-Georgia game this weekend. All that was left was Mississippi State, signature win for Jeff Lebby.
Huge.
We'll see.
Very cool to see the reaction there at Starkville.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. I mean, that fan base has been craving just a game like that, let alone a positive season. John Mateer, kind of putting his stamp on things, leading Oklahoma to that win. Sharon Moore losing in his return to his alma mater. Now he'll serve his 2-game suspension coming up. But, yeah, this past week, again, a sleepwalking week for a lot of teams. I am not really making much of the Georgia-Austin Peay thing. It was a weird game.
28-6 final.
It got delayed. Like there was, inclement weather in the area. Yes, Georgia's offense wasn't really able to push the ball downfield. Kirby's talked about that too. They've just been taking what their opponents have given them underneath. Look, Kirby Smart's the guy that convinced his football team that everybody thought they were going to go 6-6 when they were literally national championship favorites. So maybe this is just the Vols fan in me, but I don't love playing Georgia the week after a lackluster performance, personally.
Robert, I hate when he downplays expectations for an opponent that he's scared of. I feel like that's what's happening here.
What do you mean?
It's a great survival tactic. I'm doing it for the Lions in week 3.
Like what?
Not making much of Georgia's struggles against FCS Austin Peay, understanding that there were some mitigating circumstances in that game, knowing that College Game Day is going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee, when Tennessee, with a legitimate chance against Georgia for the first time, it feels like, in Josh Heupel's tenure, Lucas was like, I'm not making much of it. Respect to Georgia. If they beat Georgia, what's he going to come in here like on Monday? We're not going to talk anything about the Titans no matter what happens against the Rams. He will lose his ever-loving mind.
Well, there are 2 things that Josh Heupel has.
You don't fool me, just know.
There are 2 things he hasn't done yet. Josh Heupel has yet to win a marquee game on the road, and I know Tennessee fans bring up that 2022 LSU game, and it was an impressive win in Baton Rouge. I get it, but it was an 11 a.m. Central kickoff, LSU year 1 of Brian Kelly. They hadn't gotten going yet. Tennessee's a top 10 team going to the number 25 team. They haven't beaten Florida. They haven't beaten Bama. They haven't beaten Georgia on the road. And he hasn't beaten Georgia, period. Tennessee has not beaten Georgia since when?
Dobbs?
The Hail Mary, 2016. So we're coming up on the decade.
That's so long.
Yeah, it's the last sort of thing. Tennessee's gotten that Florida streak off their back, the Bama streak off their back in recent years. Now, beating those teams at their place is not something that they've gotten off their back. But Heupel has yet to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. This feels like his best opportunity to do so in terms of the talent profile of the team being closer to Georgia than it has been in recent years. And Gunnar Stockton still has to prove himself. He's never been on the road as a starter. So we'll see if he's shaky, if Tennessee's able to heat him up, which they weren't able to do to Carson Beck last year. But no, man, Georgia is better than 28-6 against Austin Peay. With all credit to Austin Peay, who's had a great start to their season. And I think their head coach is back on Ramon and Will tomorrow, Jeff Ferris. But
you're doing weeklies with the Austin Peay coach now?
Hey, man, they're forcing themselves into the conversation.
People are asking us, or at least one person is asking us to come do a show in Clarksville if Austin Peay has football success. I don't want to drive to Clarksville, respectfully.
I'll come pick you up.
Okay.
Tennessee also without Ricky Gibson and Jermon McCoy this weekend on the back end.
That matters. That's a huge part of the matchup. That's going to be fun to talk more about that as we get closer to Saturday in Knoxville. And I am going to try and figure out today whether we are going to be able to grift off of somebody and attend that game. We'll see if we can't make something happen in that department, even though I know it's a fun day of college football and it would be just as much fun to watch at home on the couch. There's something about that atmosphere that I would hate to miss out on. So if we can find a way to get involved in that, we might just. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate. How about Johnny?
Hey,
All right, well done by John.
Oh, come on, man. He wanted to come in here and talk guff to Lucas.
It's the rare call that is calling to agitate at Lucas instead of at me.
What did he have from
He's like, Lucas stepped in it. The Vols beat Georgia at home in 2019, is what he said.
It would be factually incorrect.
I don't think that's right.
Sorry,
maybe
Johnny.
Maybe his Google updated in the middle of that.
His Google AI?
Maybe
yeah,
he flipped the 6 upside down.
Maybe. Just maybe.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Georgia beat the ever-living hell out of Tennessee in 2019.
What was the score?
It was 43-14.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk about Jeremy Pruitt here.
That's right.
Hey, I just wanted to call in and tell Lucas he's dead wrong about this. The score was actually Oh, hell. Click.
You think he read it backwards? You think he read it backwards on his phone and then realized that and then hung up on us as soon as we went to him?
Could be anything. Could be anything.
Oh, man.
Don't
That's
be
great.
scared to call in and call us out, though, because we are wrong about a lot of things. That was just not one of them.
Yeah, that's fair. 615-737-1045. Do we have things to give away?
Oh, boy, do we. Have you guys ever heard of Bailey Zimmerman?
No.
Yeah, me neither. But you can go get tickets to see him next year. This is a great preliminary present. Say your wife's birthday is in April and you need something, and she is a big Bailey Zimmerman fan.
Who?
Well, May 1st is when these tickets are. All you got to do is call us 615-737-1045 to get 2 tickets to see Bailey Zimmerman next May 1st. You excited? What do you mean?
All right, is this just us being old? Do you know who Bailey Zimmerman is?
I think he's a country singer.
Yeah, you know his dad.
Hans?
Old man Zimmer. Wasn't that Hans Zimmer?
Hans Zimmer.
He dropped the man. Yes.
Okay, maybe we're just getting old. But if you want those tickets next year, 615-737-1045 is the number. Call in and tell us what in sports made you say, oh, no. For the opportunity to win tickets to Bailey Zimmerman's upcoming show, 615-737-1045 is the number. What in sports made you say, oh no, this weekend? The three of us are ignorant, it seems, because all of you want these Bailey Zimmerman tickets, and the three of us have no idea who he was prior to Googling him during the commercial break.
So I submitted a survey to everyone that called in about what makes him such a good artist, and the overwhelming results were dreamy, handsome, a lot of women on these calls, but a lot of men too.
Well, I'm sure if there was an appeal, it would be like white trash hot.
Yeah, his hair is very greasy. He looks like one of my better-looking cousins or someone who worked for my father that hit on my mom. One of the field hands,
one of the many.
One of the young men helping throw the hay bales off the ride. Can I give you a hand, ma'am? You see him touch your mom's hand. It's like, whoa, buddy, hey, don't be rubbing her wrist like that. He looks like one of those guys.
615-737-1045. What made me say, oh no, was the head coach of the Titans. Simple as that. If that's your submission, I'm sorry to take it out from under you, but that's the one that I was there for. That's the one that's most obvious to me. Brian Callahan being asked at a post-game press conference about an opportunity to challenge a call that was ruled an incomplete pass, but was actually a reception in a game that they lost by one score. Brian Callahan made me say, oh no. He made the country say, oh no. He made everybody else who heard his explanation kind of double talk himself into, well, I misinterpreted the rule. To then, I think by the end of the press conference, it was, no, I know the rule. I was just caught up in the moment at the press conference. It's just a mess. It's mess. It's gross. They'll move on from it. They'll try to win a football game on Sunday, but that's going to stick with him for a while. That made me say, oh no.
It's a mess in Stillwater. Mike Gundy made me say, oh no. Quote, last week from Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State head coach, before the Oregon game. We spent around $7 million over the last 3 years, and I think Oregon spent close to $40 last year alone. Quote, Dan Lanning, in response to Mike Gundy, Oregon head coach, we spend to win. Some people save to have an excuse. Final score, Oregon 69, Oklahoma State 3. For reference, Oregon beat Montana State in their opener 59-13. This was a demolishing of epic proportions. This game was over in the second quarter. Oregon outgaining Oklahoma State 631-211. They rushed for over 300 yards. And Mike Gundy, who is a legend at Oklahoma State, has that program going downhill. 3-9 last year. The blowout loss to Oregon, not great in Stillwater right now, and it's starting to feel over for Mike Gundy after, honestly, a legendary run at his alma mater. But that's what made me say, oh, no.
Robert.
This is tough. My oh no goes to me for believing in John Harbaugh. John, I have defended you for years and years. Where some said you were the dopiest of the two brothers. Now we know that's not true, but you're still a dope. If you call a man and say, hey, it's raining outside, and he walks outside and you're on the roof peeing off the edge and he believes you, that man is a fool. I am that man who has had pee rain down on his face for years. John, you're a great coach, the best I've ever known, but you're not good enough for me anymore. You're not good enough for this team anymore. And if they win, it will be because in spite of you. Not because of you.
Oh, wow.
John, I appreciate all the work you've put in through the Baltimore Ravens over the years, but you are not that guy. You are not the man who is needed to lead us out of obscurity into a Super Bowl. You are no longer that man. John, I believed in you.
Yeah, it's just such a two-time. Harbaugh's won one Super Bowl.
He's a great coach. I'm not disparaging that. And you know why they won that? Because of the Ray Lewis deer antler spray magic.
That's fine. Can I have him?
Because, yeah, you guys can have. If they do not win this year, John Harbaugh will not be the coach of the Baltimore Ravens. As sad as it is, I think they have just reached their ceiling of what they can accomplish with him. Eventually, it is a trend. Yeah, and the trend is you have lost more double-digit leads since 1991 than any other coach. Now, part of that is because when coaches give up too many of those, they get fired and don't get the opportunity to have more of those.
He's been in that job a long time.
The second longest tenured coach outside of Mike Tomlin.
Okay, so I think that context matters for how you would end up giving up the most double-digit leads. And I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying, like, there is context there.
Sure. But the context for me is John Harbaugh.
New coach?
No, I don't even want a new coach. I'm just telling him if you don't win this year, it is over. I'm not making excuses for you anymore. You are wasting the prime years of Lamar and I's life.
Lamar and I. That's great.
Lamar and me.
All right. How much time do we have to get in phone calls here?
As much as you want, baby.
We got coordinators coming up.
Well, yeah. I can assume they will be perfectly on time.
They might actually be. They're better than the head coach about that. Patrick in Lebanon.
Hello.
Hey.
So my oh no moment would have been Diego throwing that interception and Vanderbilt going down 20-10 at halftime.
But they won.
Oh, I know it.
Okay.
He threw that interception, and I was like, oh no, here we go, same Vanderbilt.
But they won.
Oh, absolutely. Thank goodness.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, Patrick. Although he's agreeing with us, dude.
He was one of the I need the tickets, I don't know how to win them crowd.
Okay. Very good.
Tom
Chris
is throwing a pick.
in Hendersonville.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the dumbest thing in sports this weekend.
Well, good, because that's tomorrow.
Pretty dumb. But I was going to call. You know, he had 2 minutes 2 seconds last night. He has to get the ball either out of the end zone or, in my opinion, kick it out of bounds.
Yeah.
You know, save the time. You got your timeout. You still have the 2 minute warning. They're at least running 2 plays with hardly any time off the clock. So just didn't give himself a chance. These coaches making millions of dollars, and game management's always a question. That's my dumbest thing in sports this weekend.
I appreciate the call, Chris. Remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win those tickets. How about Lydia up next?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, yeah, I'm calling in for the oh no moment.
Mm-hmm.
My oh no is related to Alec Amar in our last game. Firstly, he made his elbow in big time. My big complaint is, why didn't the challenge flag get thrown? Why did we not check that? I don't get it.
It's reasonable.
I really don't get it.
Well, I mean, the explanation is your coach didn't know the rule, and the people supporting the coach didn't know the rule, which is as big an oh moment as you might have anywhere in sports this weekend. One more for the opportunity to win these tickets. How about Charlie in Franklin's been trying to get a hold of us for a couple days. Hey, Charlie.
Yeah, this is very short. A lot of people might not have seen it. Halftime of the Texas game, Booger McFarland was explaining how to throw a football to about Arch Manning. That's it.
I think that's fair. It's too bad Charlie doesn't want the tickets. That was my favorite.
All right, who do we give it to?
He might. I don't know. Let me ask him.
I mean, Lydia agreed with mine, but it's a big oh no moment.
Let's give it to Lydia.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go, Lydia.
Congratulations to Lydia. We appreciate you guys calling. Titans coordinator, speaking of oh no, coming up next.
11:03. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Week 1 wrapped up on Monday Night Football as the Vikings stormed back from down 11 in the fourth quarter to win 27-24 at the Bears. J.J. McCarthy, 3 total touchdowns in his starting debut. The Titans are shifting their focus to Week 2, the home opener against the Rams this weekend at Nissan Stadium. Coordinators are set to meet with the media coming up in a few moments. You can hear that live right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour is upon us. With the way that things have gone today, or yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago on Sunday, in Denver, it is going to be interesting to hear from the Titans' offensive, defensive, and special teams coordinators who we are awaiting at the podium right now. Now, as is typically the custom as of at least this coaching administration, they're late. So we will go to those press conferences as soon as they are up at the podium, and you will hear from Denard Wilson, from Nick Holtz, and from John Fossil. 2 of those 3 individuals had units that performed above expectation on Sunday. I don't think Nick Holtz is going to be the person who gets stuck holding the bag for the Titans' offensive sins, but it is going to be interesting to hear whatever context the 3 of them are able to provide to what we saw on Sunday in that loss against Denver. There's a lot of interest, I think, in the way that this is going to go down with the coaching staff moving forward. Because what Ben Jones gave voice to yesterday, Robert, if you do have that audio ready at your convenience, what Ben Jones gave voice to yesterday is a player's perspective on a coach not knowing the rules and a coach not putting the players in the best possible position to succeed. This was Ben Jones, who's going to do an hour with us weekly on Mondays to react to Titans games, as will Brett Kern. This was Ben Jones's appearance, or part of his appearance, with us yesterday. I don't know what to do when I watch something like that other than to lose my ever-loving mind.
Yeah, don't admit to that you don't know the rules right there. Like, hey, an elbow counts. All that, you got to know that. Like, yes, you might have got caught in the moment, like, hey, didn't think he was in, didn't want to waste the timeout. I think it's going to come down to the end of the game. But you don't say that in front of everybody, because now everybody's going to be questioned, hey, does he know what he's doing up there? Like, you're putting the light on you when you don't need it right now. Like, before half, you have a young rookie quarterback, you're backed up, get to half, you're winning. Like, don't give the team the ball. Like, hey, great, if you break a run, you do something, you get an easy completion, don't hold the ball, don't get a sack, don't turn the ball over for half, go to half with the win. All right, we just give it to them at half. You have no momentum, you got to sell this, you got a young team, new thing, you want to go into half with the lead. So you have some fire, like, hey, we're doing everything we want. No, we haven't scored in the red zone where we didn't do all day. But, guys, we're winning. Like, you had that multiple times. You're sitting there in the fourth quarter, have the ball after a punt. You take 2 horrendous sacks. Don't put him in the opportunity. You go down there and you can run 3 straight run plays. People can get mad at you. You kick the field goal. You're winning in the fourth quarter. Like, it comes down to, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to be cute and pretty, or are we trying to win games? They turned it over 4 times and we don't win. You trust your coach to make those decisions, to put you in the situation to win games. He didn't do that yesterday. Like, that's where you hold a team. He's got to stand up in front of that team today, and he's going to have to make some hard.
How do you?
He better, or the team's going to be sitting there like, hey, who's this guy? Like, hey, what are we doing here? Like, we're doing so much. He's asking so much of us on the field, on the game day, and he's not coming through with his part. He's got to have accountability. Like, you have to. No matter if I miss a block, make the wrong call, the first thing I'm going to do in that meeting room, the first thing I do in the sideline, like, hey, that's me. I messed that up. Got to be held accountable. If you don't do that, it's going to be a long season, because we have talent. Like, it's so frustrating that coming from where we were last year on special teams to this year, to where we were on defense last year to this. That is a good team over there. Like, we gave it to them. Like, Denver played bad, too. Don't let them off the hook. They didn't look good.
Oh, my, that screenshot of Bo Nix handing the ball off the wrong direction that the running back is going.
Yes, it's week 1. But you got to do everything to be on your P's and Q's as a coaching staff, as a player. Like, this is the one you look at and you're like, man, if we just beat Denver, we could have been there. Like, you can't let these little wins slip through because every game matters in the NFL.
That's Ben Jones yesterday. Now, something that I just saw Kaharski point out on Twitter is I tweeted that clip and said that's the player's perspective. And Paul's pushback on that was, well, it's a player's perspective, not the definitive player's perspective, which I think is fair if you wanted to nitpick. But I have enough faith in Ben Jones and Ben Jones's knowledge of locker room dynamics and how coaches are perceived by players to be comfortable saying, I would imagine that Ben speaks for most players in that situation.
There's no way around it. It was a bad week 1 for Brian Callahan. It just was. So now he gets an opportunity on Sunday for the conversation to be different next week. This is going to hang around, though. It
has to.
It's the type of thing that hangs around. Certain things when you're talking about head coaches get washed away. Like play calling. I mean, how often do fan bases scream and pull their hair out about play calling from their offensive coordinator or a play calling head coach? But that's something that can be washed away with a couple of good results, right? Most complaints fan bases have about head coaches, even situational stuff, even misusage of timeouts and things that drive fan bases crazy, can get washed away with results that rise to the top of your mind and just push that stuff down. This is something that's going to hang around. The Alec Manor thing, the elbow down, the not challenging, the reason for not challenging, what we heard from Callahan yesterday. So all he can do is push forward this season and give us as much stuff as possible to push that down. Because there is a world in which the results outweigh what happened in week 1, right?
For sure.
Like Callahan very much still has everything in front of him. As tenuous of a position that he is in with reporting from the offseason and the potential of him being on the outs by the end of the year, if this continues, there's also the potential for it to go in the other direction. He can coach his way in or out of anything. And that's the case for any coach in the NFL at any time. But this is the type of thing that hangs around more than 99.9% of other complaints fan bases will have about a head coach.
Well, and the other thing is, do you remember the conversation that we had during the preseason game? I guess that would have been Tampa. That was the first preseason game where Brandon Allen is in the game. He's got a 4th and 2 situation. Titans decide to go for it. The situation gets a bit muffed because Brandon Allen all of a sudden is throwing out of the back of the end zone for a turnover on downs on a play that makes no sense to anybody watching. Then you go into the press conference with Brian Callahan after the fact. And he says, well, Brandon Allen's headset communication device was not working. And so we were a bit flustered on trying to get the play in. And then I called a play, and I can't remember his exact phraseology on this, but what he said was, I called a play that I didn't love. He had timeouts on the clock. So he's got a quarterback who can't hear correctly. He's got a play that he doesn't love, but he's got timeouts that he doesn't use. And I remember talking about that, Lucas, and things that matter or don't matter out of the preseason, be like, okay, that's something to keep an eye on because that can inform different things. I'm not saying that's why Brian Callahan didn't challenge the play in Denver, but there's just little things that you take note of throughout the course of all of this that say, all right, how much is that going to inform something down the line? And I don't think the irony is lost on me that in this Denver situation, specific to the end of half, that Brian Callahan is making decisions that are confusing with 2 timeouts that he doesn't use and decides to get hyper-aggressive after being ultra-conservative throughout the course of the game. Doesn't mean that he can't change his tact, but it's a weird spot to do it. And then the Manor thing happens, and you're just kind of looking around and be like, what am I missing here? Or what are they missing here? That seems, I don't want to say completely routine, but fairly routine to just about every other coaching staff in this sport. So it's weird stuff like this that keeps popping up that eats at me. and would eat at me if I'm a Titans fan.
It's something that's eating at me. People are tweeting about the press conferences, but they are not up. So I'm wondering if the coordinators' pressers are not being broadcast today.
Yeah, Nick Holtz is speaking. Terry McCormick tweeting that Holtz said Cam Ward did a great job checking into good plays when he called audibles on Sunday. But, yeah, we do not have the feed.
Well, this would be the first time that they aren't streaming coordinators' press conferences, and I don't want to read too much into that. I mean, I can send a text and find out if they're just not going to do that anymore, but this is the first time they haven't streamed coordinators' press conferences, if that's the case.
I can double-check some other avenues, but it would seem to be.
All right. Well, why don't we take a break, let Robert do that. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has a week-by-week offer that every football fan should jump on. New customers can bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL was in 1943. Can you imagine? So I'd say that this is a no-brainer. DraftKings customers can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THEZONE. That's one word, THEZONE. Bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. That's promo code THEZONE this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So I just texted Titans PR about, are they going to stream the coordinators the way that they have done, I don't know, for years at this point in time? And I have not received a text back yet, but the coordinators are speaking.
The stream is up. There's just an error code.
So perhaps a technical difficulty?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Convenient.
Like they have the stream, like streaming live, Nick Holtz, Denard Wilson, John Fossil, but it says error code, something has
but if it was going to be convenient, wouldn't it have been convenient yesterday during his apology for knowing/not knowing the rules?
Sure. I just, have some fun with it. But whatever the coordinators do say of note, we will be able to pull some audio from Twitter, I'm sure, because there are people there reporting at the press conferences. This is inside baseball, and it's nothing that anybody has to care about except for me, but I do feel it's worth saying. I don't know why they have to do the coordinators on Tuesday now, which is typically the day off, but now that's 5 straight days of them doing something in some form or fashion, and I'm curious as to why they changed it, but that's just for me.
John Fossil speaking now about the James Williams personal foul.
I'd love to hear about that.
Where he said he told him he loved his mentality of protecting a teammate, but he has to watch his actions to avoid the penalty.
No, I don't love his mentality. Don't be an idiot.
Said he talked to James Williams after the game. Who
he did. Well, he talked to him in real time, too. I'm sure the TV copy caught that of him going, James Williams being sat down on the bench and Fossil, back turned, so we don't know what the tone of the conversation was, but I imagine that it was not overwhelmingly pleasant. Like, what the hell are you doing? It was just so dumb.
I mean, and Fossil talking about Chimere Dike's promising debut. Again, special teams, excellent for the Titans on Sunday. James Williams, not one defensive snap.
Yeah, Cedric Gray.
I mean, I get Cedric Gray was the starter, but were we not operating under the premise that, no, they're both going to play?
Oh, I don't know about every game. Like, I'm sure there's going to be certain situations where it's advantageous to have James Williams on the field, right? But I don't know that that's, like, that they are going to require, or that they were planning on requiring a certain amount of snaps for James Williams on defense just because, right?
Fossil also, this is Teresa Walker tweeting, John Fossil said, yes, they thought kicker Joey Sly could have made a field goal from 70. That would be awesome. I want to see Joey Sly.
I thought we might, but they didn't give us the opportunity.
I think it gets done this year, though. Like with all the changes that are made to
100%.
kicking, and what Kern was talking about, how they get the balls in advance, like that just makes all the sense in the world that, okay, under the previous constraints, you could hit 64s, and that was a long.
Yeah.
Now, if you get extra time with the balls to scuff them up or however you want to use them, yeah, they're going to hit a 70.
Only a matter of time before a 70-yarder is a thing in a regular season game.
Brett was talking about the additional time to scuff, for lack of a better term, yesterday, and what he thinks is going to be possible because of that. Which makes, by the way, we didn't talk about this because we didn't have a show obviously on Saturday, but the Chiefs' field goal operation to get those points before the end of the half against the Chargers in Brazil is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. You didn't see it, Lucas, did you?
No, I was on the air on Friday. I didn't see it.
You were doing, humble brag, I was on the air. I was doing something. I was busy. No, not like the rest of you watching your silly YouTube streams of NFL football.
Well, actually, I did watch a lot of that game because our game got suspended, like many high school games across the mid-state. So
I was
sitting in the booth, feet propped up, watching the game on my phone.
Normally, I do joke about rooting against you, but I don't root for anybody to have to deal with weather delays.
We didn't even make it to the end of the second quarter before the game just got suspended and everybody went home.
We should just get rid of sports. It's not even safe anymore with all these weather things going on.
It's not even safe.
Your game was not impacted by weather.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And they still got points at the half.
Yeah. I just a ridiculous operation, or again, a ridiculously well-oiled machine, the Kansas City Chiefs. Lucas, you could probably pull it up on Twitter to see the situation that they had, in which they had no timeouts left, but had to run the full. They had to swap units out on the field as the time was expiring, get a field goal off. They didn't even change the kind of ball that they were using.
Impressive.
You seeing it?
Oh, I saw someone else do that over the weekend too. I think in the college game, I saw someone have to do that. Can't remember who it was, but yeah, never a sure thing.
Well, that I think, though, is the kind of efficiency that we're talking about. You don't have to be Andy Reid to be a good coach, right? Or to have a well-coached team. There are plenty of teams that do things at a reasonably high level that operate with a level of efficiency. Because it's not just the mistakes that Callahan made on Sunday. Something else that I saw, I believe it was Zach Lyons on Twitter pointing out, and Blaine and Zach, you can hear coming up right after us, is how discombobulated the Titans offense looks on screenplays, where there were a couple highlights of screenplays tweeted from this weekend where Cam Ward has to dirt a ball because he goes to throw a screen, but nobody is turned back looking at him.
Yeah, there was the one that was like that. And Brian Callahan was asked about that yesterday, and he did say that was on one of the three players on that right side of the field that were all engaging, ready to block. Callahan said one of them, it was their responsibility to turn around and be the receiver, but he didn't call out who it was.
Guesses.
Guesses?
Well, we need to go back and see who was out there. Ridley, I'm pretty sure, was out there.
Yeah, we want Ridley blocking.
Ellick.
Yeah, we want Ridley blocking.
No, Chig was out there. Well, we'd have to pull up the play.
Well, we know Chig has never had a mental lapse in his life, so it couldn't have been Chig.
What are you doing?
Feels like
Mad at everybody.
Yeah, this man is just angry at the world.
But
Yeah, so Chig went out in motion. It's already, Ridley is lined up wide right. Ridley and Lockett are lined up wide right. They send Chig in motion. Ball is snapped. All three of them engage on that right side, and Cam just has to dirt it because nobody's turning around. So it was Lockett, Ridley, Okonkwo that were out there. One of those three, it was their responsibility to turn around and be the option there for Ward on the screen.
how do you not know? This is another thing, Lucas, and I don't want to be gratuitous with this, but we've just had so many of these things pop up. You remember him talking about, and you can say that I'm reading too much into things at any given point, and maybe I am, but I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to things that happen throughout the lead up to this. All right? Him talking about the preparation for the Denver Broncos, and that they were going to treat Labor Day, the week leading up to Labor Day weekend, as just an additional week of training camp. So they're going to focus on technique. They're going to focus specifically on themselves before turning their attention to the Denver Broncos in the lead up to week one, right? So not to say that you can't get burnout on prepping for an opponent or that they absolutely should have spent 2 weeks prepping for the Broncos, but that's another moment where I'm looking around being like, all right, if you are spending another week on yourself, on fine-tuning the things that happen for you, how do mistakes like that happen for you and the players? Is it such a risk of burnout that you can't spend additional time game planning for the Denver Broncos? Or maybe you're not comfortable enough with where you are from an operational standpoint that you do feel like you need to have an extra week as an extension of training camp to continue to refine the details. I don't know how much.
But is the discussion this week really about them not being prepared to face the Denver Broncos and what the Broncos were going to throw at them? Because, again, the game plan had the Titans in the game writ large. What we're concerned about, what we're talking about this week, is the thing that they emphasized all offseason long, self-inflicted negatives, being exactly what held them back on Sunday. For me, it's not about how they did or didn't approach facing the Broncos and what the Broncos were going to show defensively. And they were conservative in nature offensively. And I thought that was the way to go, even in the red zone, when every fan base in the world wants their team to probably go for it on a 4th and short inside the 10. But in that moment, no, you've got a rookie quarterback in an electric environment in his first career start. Kick the field goal. Just take the points and just chip away. I didn't have a lot of issues with the larger game plan. It's just about the things that held them back that we had been talking about all offseason. And they're going to show and see if they can.
But they weren't good on offense. They weren't clean on offense. They weren't clean in anything necessarily when you have 13 penalties for 131 yards. But I'm saying from an operations standpoint, did that look like a well-oiled machine? You know what I'm saying? Where Cam Ward is having to redirect players. And we don't know specifically what he's doing up there at the line of scrimmage, right? He could be changing the play. He could be moving things that he sees based on what the defense is presenting him, as opposed to guys not knowing where they're supposed to be in position, right? I don't want to assume too much, but I'm just saying, there are things about this that don't feel like it's well done, that it is clean, that it is professional, that it is capable of holding its own at the same level as 31 other teams in the league. It feels minor league.
I feel like the Broncos had a lot to do with that as well.
That's fine.
And that is something that, that's the good thing. Like, we get more information. On Sunday, we get a new sample size.
Sure.
The following Sunday, we get another sample size to just be able to extrapolate more and talk about this offense and watch Cam Ward grow. That is one thing that it feels like is a pretty general takeaway. Chase Daniel tweeted today. I can pull up the tweet, but he said, just watch the Cam Ward tape. Titans got their guy.
Yeah, for sure.
After a 12 of 28 performance.
And we will spend Wednesday through Friday. And, obviously we're not on the air on Saturday, but that'll be a big focus of the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. We'll be outside of Nissan Stadium. What is that, Gate 3? Whatever the north end zone is where we'll be with Blaine. And I don't know, is it Brent doing it or is it Zach? Because Zach was on week 1. I should probably just text somebody and ask.
I think it's Blaine and Zach.
Okay, cool. So I'm really sticking on some of this stuff specific to week 1, Lucas, because what you're saying is correct, and that's the way that everybody has to operate. No matter whether your team won or lost in week 1, you move forward, you get another opportunity. Okay, correct the mistakes and try to improve upon it, build upon something. But I'm really stuck here because of how much time they had to prepare for this one opportunity and how nuclear it seemed to go. You know what I'm saying? Like how much additional time you have to prepare for an opponent, this specific situation, and the way that they handled it leading up. Like that doesn't give me confidence that with 7 days as opposed to 3 months, whenever the schedule came out, that you're going to do a better job. It's just going to inform the way that I talk about them.
I guess, like, look, we understand that they hurt themselves on Sunday, but like specifically, what are you talking about? What were they not prepared for in facing the Denver Broncos?
They did not look prepared for in-game situations that could present themselves along the way, which they proved several times. They did not look like a clean offensive operation. Ben Jones pointed out the different things that the offensive line was not buttoned up on as far as the checks, the silent cadence, the head bobs, the things, the little nuances that will give you the opportunity to operate on the road. And again, it's week 1 for a team that's got some new pieces and parts and a new quarterback. So some of that is going to be baked in. I'm understanding of that. But I shouldn't have to be making excuses for the operation if that's something that's largely based on the coach.
Sure. I mean, again, this is where you walk that line of excuses versus reasons, right? There are no excuses for 13 penalties for 131 yards. Like there's no,
and the players are not absolved of this.
Right.
I don't want to absolve the players of it, but at the end of the day, the responsibility is on the person who is tasked with being the CEO of the football team, and that is the head coach. And the product and the operation of that football team was poor.
I don't think they anticipated. I'm sure they were very surprised by 13 penalties for 131 yards. Brian Callahan certainly seemed surprised by that after the amount of emphasis put on it in the offseason. To the point of the offensive line, and Ben mentioned this too, it's week 1. Lloyd Cushenberry's been working with the first team for a couple of weeks at this point. J.C. Latham also goes out of the game, and you're putting in Oli Udoh in a situation where he hasn't really played with the first teamers.
And by the way,
one of the
they
most hostile
immediately gave up 2 sacks as soon as Latham went out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Latham didn't have a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but there were back-to-back sacks after Oli Udoh came in.
Yeah, so there are excuses and there are reasons. You can think of reasons for why the Titans offense would have some struggles against an elite defense and against one of the elite environments in terms of the fan base and Mile High Stadium in the National Football League. So it's about where to divvy those up, right? Like, where are the reasons and where are the excuses? There are no excuses for the penalties. There are no excuses for starting a drive on the 24 and ending up in your own territory, having to punt in the fourth quarter down by 2, right? But I think there can be reasons for the offensive line having the issues it had, the Broncos having a lot to do with that, injury, the environment, all of these things. Like, we feel like we should be able to walk that line this week until we get another sample size to go off of on Sunday.
Yeah, it's just I'm not interested in washing out what they spent all last year doing and all offseason talking about just to say, okay, well, let's see what they do again on Sunday. Even though that is going to be a part of the conversation, I don't think that it should be the entire conversation, if that's fair. 615-737-1045 is how you can jump in if you would like to. Let's start with Mark in Nashville.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Couple questions for you. So let's say Callahan has another just crap the bed game, right? What's the likelihood that Bones Fossil comes in as the interim coach? I know he's been been in the league for a long time and has relationships with a lot of people. So if he can kind of prove it as the interim head coach, maybe offer him the job, and then he can go out and get his own offensive coordinator. And two, do you think a big reason Amy doesn't really want to get rid of Brian is because she's worried about losing Bill, the dad? So hang up and listen. Thanks, guys, for your show.
Thanks for the call, Mark. I'm not even going to pretend to know what Amy Adams-Strunk thinks or doesn't think. She's just she's the most important person involved with the football team, and we know nothing about the way that she operates, other than the decision-making the last couple of years has been rash, and that the people who are now tasked with speaking on her behalf are saying that she's bought in. And I wish I had more for you on that, but we simply don't. She's done that by design, and that's unfortunate, because I think you all deserve to know more about the way that she wants this thing to go, or the plans that she is or is not sticking to. So I'd put the Callahan thing, or specific to her, beside the point. If they were to fire Brian Callahan, and I don't know, I'm sure we're going to have this conversation multiple times throughout the course of the season. John Fossil has been an interim head coach before. He was when Jeff Fisher got fired with the Rams. They were on that staff together in Los Angeles at the time. Coach Mack was also on that staff at the time. So I don't know what the chain of command would be. Who is technically the assistant head coach? Do they have one? Because that was Terrell Williams under Mike Vrabel, who is now the defensive coordinator. I don't know that the Titans have an assistant head coach.
I don't see an official one. Just looking at the team website, the coaching roster, I don't see there being officially someone with that title.
And there have been staffs with officially that title.
There is an assistant to the head coach.
Tom Jones, yes.
Yeah,
but he's not a member of the coaching staff. He sits in the press box behind us. So listen, if I had to guess, and again, this is just speculation on my part, because we do not know what goes on in Amy Adams-Strunk's head. If we did, it would be a lot cleaner, a lot easier to talk about this football team. If there's a reason that she doesn't want to fire Brian Callahan, is because she doesn't want to be wrong. And she probably believes in Brian, and Brian is the conversations that we have with him on the radio show, the press conferences leading up to this, he doesn't strike you as somebody who has no grasp of what he's doing. This is somebody who's been around football and coaching his entire life. So it's not like he just forgot everything that he spent his entire lifetime learning. But I would imagine that there's also some pride if you're the Titans ownership structure, and everybody thought we were idiots for firing Mike Vrabel. I don't want to fire the guy that I picked after Mike Vrabel after a year. And then, 2 weeks or 1 week in, we're already having that conversation. I'm sure it's talking about balancing or walking fine lines. That seems to be where the Titans are at right now. Brian in Nashville.
Yes. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. So my point is, I know that I heard for weeks how good the Broncos were, how we were afraid they were going to get blown out by the Broncos, how good their defense was, how good their offense was. As coaches, for me, motivation is the most important thing. And Brian Callahan had them motivated to where they only lost by 8 points, and we all were concerned with a blowout. So it seems like on your show, I love your show, by the way, and it's something I do every day is listen to you. But it seems like there's so much negativity toward him when he had them ready to at least only lose by 8 points. And I think there's some credit that he deserves for that.
I appreciate your perspective, Brian, and thank you for listening, but I disagree. I don't think you should get credit for having a professional football team ready to play, ready to do their jobs. That's their jobs. That's the baseline. If you can't get juice for week one in a hostile environment against a playoff team, or a team that was a playoff team a year ago, then you have no business being there in the first place. That's the low. Again, I was frustrated yesterday by us consistently having to lower the bar for them. That is the lowest possible bar for them to achieve. Look like you're excited and fired up to go play football.
But
I don't think the coach should get overwhelming credit for that.
Again, the context is the reason that the conversation has been what it has been this week, because we've talked about this many times. 20-12 is not the type of game many people expected. You said you think they're going to go out there and get shelled on Sunday. That was your prediction for this game.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. It was a close game. It was a weird game. It was kind of an ugly game.
Yeah, the players
from both
sides,
sides
who matter infinitely more than the coach, get infinitely more credit than I gave them. For the performance on Sunday, the players get infinitely more credit than I felt they deserved heading into that game.
Yeah, the frustration is that the game felt like it was there for the taking, and there were things that they did to themselves that worked them out of that.
Is Brian still there? Oh, dang it. He's off the... Little odd, don't you think?
What are you implying?
Brian calling from Nashville, defending... Oh, I think we should give Callahan more. I think that was Brian Callahan.
Would have been a pretty good Southern accent imitation.
How about you recklessly speculate first before you make reckless speculations?
I don't think I have to do that.
No, I think you do. All right, now you can recklessly speculate that was Brian Callahan faking a Southern accent to call into the radio show.
Yes, I think that was fake Brian Callahan. Or I think that was real Brian Callahan being a fake Brian. We should have asked him his last name. Oh, it's Mallahan. I'm Brian Mallahan.
Callahan with a G. Yeah. It's the soccer coach.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Irish.
My thing is, like, that would piss me off more, like Brian's perspective, if they were in a good enough situation. Oh, PR just texted me back and said they're not streaming the press conferences. So
the stream link is up. It just says there's an error code and something's going wrong.
Apparently there was a situation that they decided not to stream the press conferences today.
Ever again?
I will follow up. I just got the text back. But my follow-up would be, well, why? One, naturally, what are we doing? We've done this the entire time. That's annoying.
I feel like things can get taken out of context if you don't have the exact words someone said. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have the audio to play to come back and be like, oh, well, they said this. It's like, no, that's not actually like a Legarius Sneed, I'm as healthy as I've been situation. It's like, no, he didn't say I'm as healthy as I've ever been. Like now, if we don't have the actual words and we're taking things from print where other people could make mistakes, there would be an issue.
So, yeah, I would like to know why they aren't doing that. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll take more of your phone calls.
We have our high school football hero of the week.
I'm Buck Rising.
GCA wide receiver Warren DeGraff. An incredible story, by the way, that we're going to cover with him coming up next.
All right. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Tuesdays at 11:45 or thereabouts are when we speak to our Tennessee high school football hero of the week, Lucas, who is joining us.
We are about to talk to Warren DeGraff, a wide receiver at Grace Christian Academy in Franklin. Now, some quick backstory here, because Warren's story is unbelievable. In early 2024, Warren was diagnosed with cancer. He was diagnosed with a bone marrow cancer that had him for the 18 months that followed, battling, fighting, chemo, treatment, long, arduous process that eventually led to him getting a 5th year of eligibility in high school football and getting back on the field to play for the GCA Lions, who are 3-0. And Warren on Friday, in a 17-7 win over Clarksville Academy, caught a touchdown pass for his football team, helping the Lions to that 3-0 start to the 2025 season. So we're very excited to be joined by Warren DeGraff on 104.5 The Zone. Warren, happy Tuesday, man. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No, we're incredibly grateful for your time. We asked this of all our high school football players that jump on the show. Are we breaking you out of class, or are we interrupting your lunch at present?
A little bit of both.
Nice.
Okay. Well, we'll try to keep it brief.
Well, Warren, first of all, man, just that story, the entire lead up to you being on the football field this season and catching a pass and I know that you weren't doing all of this just to get back onto the field for one play or one game or whatever it might be. But just how special was that moment for you on Friday with your teammates?
Man, it was great. And yes, of course, catching the touchdown was amazing, but just being out there is great. Not only playing, but I mean, all the way from January through the summer, all the way to week 1. It's just surreal to be out there, and it's awesome with my biological brothers, but also football brothers.
Can you walk us through the play? I mean, how you got into the end zone, what the read was from your quarterback, Knox Lambert, that helped you guys to that 10-point victory?
Yeah, for sure. Well, in the summer, we did a little 7-on-7 stuff, and because TSSAA doesn't allow our coaches to coach us, I was not in condition to play and do super well, so I got the privilege to coach our team, which helped me a lot, especially coming out to the field, because I see things differently. I can see what more the quarterback sees, not just the receivers, which helped a lot. But I mean, I lined up in the tight end spot. I saw it was a too high safety. Adjusted my route a little bit just to run down the seam of the field, caught it, and ran for the touchdown.
That's, I mean, obviously the circumstances that put you in that position to be able to participate as a coach, Warren, are not normal by any sense of the imagination. But as you mentioned, it gave you additional context and additional understanding in what you guys are trying to execute as a team. I have to imagine that's been very helpful, or can be very helpful.
Oh, for sure. It helps a ton, especially with sitting out all of last year and not knowing physically that I was able to play, just helping me stay locked in mentally and just grow myself in the mind of football, not just the physical aspect.
Warren DeGraff here with us on 104.5 The Zone, Grace Christian Academy wide receiver. Got the 42-20 win over Chattanooga Christian.
You're reading the wrong GCA. This is GCA in Franklin, who beat Clarksville Academy 17-7.
No, don't tell me that.
Yes,
no.
Good job by you. Good job by you. Warren, while Buck buries his face in his hands.
Oh, my God, I'm so embarrassed.
Could you take us back to that moment in March 2024, your diagnosis and just the 18 months that followed? How much was getting back on the field just kind of a goal for you at the end of the line? How much of a focus and motivating factor was that for you as you were fighting this fight?
Yeah, it was honestly my biggest goal. When I first found out on March 20th that I was diagnosed with leukemia, my first thought was, dang it, I can't play football. Not, I have chemo for the next 2.5 years. I have to go through surgeries. I'm going to be knocked out. It's, darn, I can't play football. So it really was everything to me throughout this whole process. And you can ask my parents anytime they're like, what do you want to do? Now that it's over, I'm I'm still going to play football. My answer never changed, which was a blessing, just because that determination really helped me get back out this year. But yeah, I mean, my chemo is 2.5 years. I'm a little over 1.5 years now, and it's a really intense treatment. But I'm just blessed that God allowed me to get back on this field, especially with the goals I had at the start of this.
That is absolutely unbelievable. And what is the prognosis right now, Warren? What does that fight look like for you in the midst of your high school football season?
So I have to go in every single Thursday to get my blood taken to be sure I can play on Fridays. It is for sure the most nerve-wracking day of the week for me. Not any big test, not any exam. It's, can I play football on Friday? But I go through an oral chemo every single day. It doesn't affect my body too bad. It's not super intense, so I'm able to work out and I'm able to do everything. But actually, yesterday I got my drip chemo in the hospital. I had a spinal tap, which is a surgery. So I was out all of yesterday, but that's the only one that'll happen throughout the football season, which is super nice. But that kind of just knocks me out for the day. But I'm back today and I'll be practicing and everything. But that's kind of what my week looks like. It's just daily oral chemo that I have to take, but I feel fine.
Warren, the opportunity to face Zion Christian Academy this coming Friday, what stands out about the matchup?
We're a small team. They're also a small team, and I know it's their first year in TSSAA, so it'll be an interesting game. We're just watching the film on them this week and getting prepared for them for sure.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but just such a cool story, and we appreciate you sharing it with us, with our audience, and continued health and success to you as you move forward with your team throughout the rest of the high school football season, and I am deeply sorry for embarrassing myself in the middle of that interview.
You're all good.
Thanks, Warren.
Thanks, Warren. Good luck this week. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, good job by you.
Yeah.
By the way,
you didn't tell me there's two Grace Christians Academy.
There's one in Knoxville and one in Franklin, and I said the one in Franklin multiple times. I also said that they. I also mentioned the team they defeated.
You're my ears upstairs. You're my eyes upstairs. You let me down here, not me.
Sure. Accountability, not a strength with this one.
It's the first time I think in 5 years of doing the radio show that I have felt deep and legitimate shame.
Well, that's a problem in and of itself.
Sure, but like that was actually one where damn, that's on me.
Blaine Bishop, by the way, is who brought this to my attention. I had not seen Warren's story until Blaine said something to me on Sunday and passed this on and said, you guys have got to get this kid on your high school football segment. So just incredible stuff, man. To be diagnosed in March of last year and the first thought be, am I going to be able to play football, is just, it's incredible stuff. So congrats to Warren and the GCA Lions, who still have a lot more football to be played, but off to a 3-0 start, and he's out here catching touchdowns.
So cool. Again, my apologies to Warren for not getting that correct. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, you can participate that way. We are going to swing back around and talk about earning back trust. What's it going to take from the Titans head coach? I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Financial independence is something that is critically important. It just brings so much additional stress to your life if you are not financially independent. Occurrences like inflation, changing economic policies, new laws, and interest rates can affect the financial markets in the short term, but it doesn't make sense to keep changing the way you invest in response to the daily news. Instead, Trajan Wealth will help you review your strategy and make sure that it's right for your goals, your level of risk tolerance, your time horizon. Trajan Wealth is there to help you decide what to do. You can visit them at their 2 locations here in Middle Tennessee. They're local, Brentwood and Franklin. The number is 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Week 1 wrapped up on Monday Night Football with the Vikings storming back from down 11 in the fourth quarter to win 27-24 at the Bears. J.J. McCarthy with 3 total touchdowns in his starting debut. Meanwhile, the Tennessee Titans shift their focus to the home opener on Sunday against the Los Angeles Rams at Nissan Stadium. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans involved. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome into the final hour on this Tuesday. Robert, Lucas, and me with you until 1 o'clock. Jason Fitz is going to join us here in just a second. You can interact with the show if you want. 615-737-1045, F&M Bank chat, also at your disposal. Earning back trust. I'm going to have to spend at least an hour earning back your trust for how badly I mangled the previous interview. Though Lucas was very gentle for once in reminding me that he also did something like that a couple of years ago, which I didn't remember.
I had an egregious moment with one of our high school football interviews, I think maybe 2 years, might have been 3 years ago.
Clearly, it hasn't stuck with you at all.
Where, and for the life of me, I can't remember the young man's name, but his older brother was committed to a program, and I can't remember the program either, and I asked him a question about his commitment, thinking it was him and not his brother. And he, on the air, had to tell me, oh, no, that's my brother that's committed to said school. And so I've been there. But the F&M Bank chat is asking, Chris on the F&M Bank chat, how will Buck win back our trust? Scott asks another thought-provoking question. How does this affect LeBron's legacy?
Famously. So I will do what can I do? But sit here for an hour and try not to screw something else up, which is about the standard for how one earns trust back. Not by saying, but by doing. And that is what is now tasked with the Titans coaching staff. Ironic that I have been on their necks for 2 days about not being buttoned up on things and botched that last segment. But, that's what you get for getting too far ahead of yourself. I am fascinated to see how they respond. Because, Lucas, if you'll remember the last time I said something like that specific to the Titans coaching staff, it was after the New England game. And I brought this example up a couple of times. They beat the New England Patriots at home. It was their only win at Nissan Stadium last year against a team that was also vying for being the worst team in football, for having the number 1 overall pick, except Joe Milton went out there and beat a Bills defense that didn't seem terribly intent on stopping him on that day, and the Patriots played themselves out of the number 1 overall pick. So after that Patriots game that the Titans won, Brian Callahan was starting his press conference and was working his way through his introductory statement, and he was clearly choked up about getting a win. And that's fine. It's an emotional business. It's a taxing business. I understand it's sports. It's not brain surgery or rocket science or any of these other things, but it does require a tremendous amount of time, attention to detail, time away from family, all these different things. It's a tough job. And so he's getting choked up about the toughness of Tony Pollard, who at that time is playing through injury and, had an above-average performance on that particular day, which is also something that you want to see. You want to see that your coach cares about the effort and the time and the work that the players put in that way. And the follow-up at that point was, how badly did you need this win? And Brian Callahan got even a little more choked up and not crying by any stretch of the imagination, but says really bad, right? Really bad. They needed this win. The whole thing that I had on Monday coming in after that game was, I get it. Like, that's a human response. That's as humanizing a moment as you'll have. Now, show us that there's something to prove upon. Steel yourself, right? S-T-E-E-L, steel yourself, I think is the way that I put it, and prepare yourself for another opportunity. Go out there and win a football game. Who did they play? Can you look up their schedule from last year? Because I think it was a pretty big letdown. I don't think it was Washington, but it might have been Washington. And at Washington was a bloodbath.
Following the Patriots win?
Following the Patriots win in 2024, who was the Titans' next opponent? Obviously, they lost, but I would be curious to know how bad of a loss it was. Was it Washington?
Oh, that's this year's. It was the Chargers.
The Chargers.
Where they actually were competitive.
So they competed, but they lost.
What followed up the Patriots win was Chargers, where they competed and lost, Vikings, where they competed and lost, and Texans, which was their most impressive win of the season.
Okay. So
then the Commanders, then we saw, because there was some momentum there, right? Will Levis had his best performance in Houston, and it's late November, right? You're not mathematically eliminated, but then that's where, like, their highest moment was followed by some of their lowest. After the Texans game, there was the Commanders loss, which was just a blowout right from the jump, was the Jaguars game, where they just couldn't capitalize on red zone opportunities, lose at home in an ugly game against Jacksonville. The Bengals game, where Will Levis had an absolute meltdown.
Terrible.
Right? And then
Benched.
at that point, season's over. It's late December, and the season's pretty much over.
So,
but what's your point with all this?
My point with it is, okay, that was some of their better performances of the season. They still lost, right? But they came back after a win, and they looked like they had a chance.
They went 2-2 in a stretch.
They looked like they had some fight to them. So it ended up being a better stretch, if not the best stretch of football that they had, which was a little bit reassuring, right? Okay, you won a game, build upon it. You got embarrassed on Sunday as a coaching staff. Rebound, build upon your mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes twice. I certainly won't make that mistake twice. But show us that you are capable of having a more buttoned-up operation from your side of things to also earn back not just the trust of the fan base, because that's probably going to be something that's hanging by a thread all year long, but it's more important that you have the buy-in of the players from the locker room. And that was the thing that Ben Jones was speaking to yesterday, the accountability portion of it. Get up in front of the team, cop to your mistakes, say, guys, my bad, put your hand up, and all the different things to do. And it's going to be a tough team meeting. Like, that's an unpleasant situation for anybody. But now, correct it. Win or lose, you can't be a part of the problem. That's really the only way that process of rebuilding trust moves forward. That's really the only thing that he can do in this situation, because he's in a lose-lose right now. You lost the football game. He's a huge part of the reason why they lost the football game.
Yeah, I mean, all Brian Callahan can do from here on out is be a plus on the sideline, because the reality is the Titans still have their limitations on the roster, right? Limitations that have been spoken on publicly from the general manager, from the director of football operations. We're all on the same page. This offseason, it has felt like everybody's on the same page on where this franchise is in terms of its rebuild. That hasn't changed because they played the Broncos close on the road and shot themselves in the foot in week one. It's a very weird sort of, I used the word dichotomy yesterday, but it's strange because there's so much that's encouraging about the fact that you fought tooth and nail with the Broncos and the defense played its tail off and Jeffrey Simmons was wreaking havoc and special teams was a massive plus. But then the flip side of that is you lost because of self-inflicted negatives that you preached all offseason. It's a weird place to be.
Very weird.
Very encouragingly frustrating loss for the Titans.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I promise, guys, we're going to move on to the encouraging things. We're going to talk a lot about Cam. We're going to talk about how much better the defense played than I think was relative to expect out of that particular unit. Is it sustainable? That's obviously something we'll document across the season. But like the first 2 days of this are going to be about what cost them an opportunity to win a game that they were very capable of winning.
Yeah.
That's the thing that makes you insane.
The thing is, again, the roster is still the roster. And the outlook of the season doesn't necessarily change much, right? Like the win total, 5.5, kind of everybody on the same page of, look, this is a rebuild. So that probably doesn't mean being meaningfully competitive in 2024. So with that, can Brian Callahan be a plus on the sideline?
Right.
And can he put Cam Ward and put his team in positions to succeed, even if they're going to come up short in those positions because of their limitations?
We have a little bit of breaking sports news, not I think worthy of the Laser Light Show, Robert. It's the Niners are going to put George Kittle on IR.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you guys. I wasn't listening to what you guys were talking about. But breaking news from the 49ers, George Kittle is going to go on injured reserve. Rap Sheet reported yesterday that he would miss 3 to 5 weeks. The 49ers are banking on that. He will go on injured reserve, but good for them. They had some underling tight ends show some spark in the game on Sunday, so the 49ers, will not be shorthanded.
It's a hamstring injury. Didn't Purdy get hurt in that game too? I think Brock Purdy had some level of injury. I don't know if it's going to cost him near as much time, but Niners already dealing with injury stuff.
Were you guys already talking about that?
Coming into the game. What?
Were you guys already talking about that?
Purdy? Or are you just doing a bit?
It was a bit.
Okay. I'm already shook after that last segment. Don't fluster me even further. God knows what kind of mistakes I'll make. So I think, by the way, Christian McCaffrey having to deal with questions around his quad already, or his calf already coming in to the year. It's another notch on Derrick Henry's belt for being just unbelievable and unbelievably available for as long as he has in his career. I know we don't have to talk about Derrick Henry, and obviously he did not play a perfect game on Sunday that, in fact, directly cost his team in a loss, but I can't get over how much more sustainable Derrick is than every other player at his position. Anyway. Jason Fitz of Yahoo Sports is going to join us. We'll talk some college football with Fitzy. We'll also ask him about the Callahan situation. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Every day on this show, at some point, we hit a break where inevitably Robert and myself are going to start to talk about what we want for lunch. And 9 times out of 10, we come back to Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It's the best hot chicken in the world. And let me tell you, today, I'm thinking about their southern salads, thinking about those cornbread croutons with the black-eyed peas, the lettuce, the cheese, to go with my choice of medium grilled chicken. You can do whatever you want, fried or grilled, hot or not, everything in between. Hattie B's is a family-run restaurant that serves up excellent southern home cooking and the best hot chicken around. By the way, if sides are as important to you as they are to me, then Hattie B's is the way to go. The pimento mac and cheese, my personal favorite, but you also just can't go wrong. Visit any one of their 7 Middle Tennessee locations. Go to HattieB.com. Let them fuel your tailgate or watch party. By the way, they're at Nissan Stadium now. For the Titans game, you can get your Hattie B's Hot Chicken this Sunday as you watch the Titans take on the Rams. Download the Hattie B's app today. Get a free dessert just by doing so, and head to Hattie B's Hot Chicken.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. 615-737-1045 is the number. Dolphins signing Cole Strange, the former first-round pick of the New England Patriots, off the Browns practice squad.
You know who the Dolphins play this week?
I don't know that. Do they play the Browns?
The New England Patriots.
Oh, interesting.
At home.
We have not talked about Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he was excellent. Like, he was on fire. Among the best quarterback performances of week 1.
Which is not what I think most people expected, even though we always allow for the possibility that quarterback change of scenery can bring about a better version of the player than we've previously known.
Daniel Jones, definitely on the Mount Rushmore of quarterback performances in week 1 of the 2025 season. Next to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Who else? Josh Allen. Sorry, Bird. And who gets the 4th spot?
Why is Ross back there flipping me the bird and doing the Aaron Rodgers seatbelt celebration?
Aaron Rodgers guy.
Are you a Rodgers fan? Turn your microphone, mouth breather. Don't just sit there and stare at me with your fish eyes. What do you want?
I just remember when you said Mason Rudolph was kind of the same as Aaron Rodgers. I think it's hilarious.
That was pretty crazy by you.
You don't know that he doesn't throw 4 touchdown passes if you put Mason Rudolph in there?
Saying, by the way.
No.
Yeah, I think Buck's saying like the Steelers season is not really meaningfully different with Aaron Rodgers versus Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Yeah, we'd probably let you get away with that one a little bit.
I'd do it again, too.
A little ridiculous by you.
Those meddling kids.
Rodgers was elite.
I haven't seen it yet.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, it sounded like he was excellent. But the Jets scoring 32 and losing?
Justin Fields was also fantastic.
How many times does that happen? Yeah. Jets fans have to be in hell.
Justin Fields surpassed even the wildest expectations that you could have possibly placed on him for his Jets debut.
It's crazy that both he and Aaron Rodgers probably played the best game they have played, not with the team that drafted them.
Easily.
Like, Justin Fields played a better game with the Jets week 1 than he ever played with the Steelers, and Aaron Rodgers also with the Steelers.
4 touchdown passes. He didn't do that once with the Jets, Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, when is his last 4 touchdown performance generally?
Well, he was a Packer.
Yeah, I think he did it with the Jets. His last game with the Jets. He had a really good game. You have Jason Fitz, though.
All right. Fitzy is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Fitzy, more surprising to see Aaron Rodgers shake off the rust and throw 4 touchdowns or Daniel Jones dicing up the Miami Dolphins?
Speechless. He's speechless. That's what Aaron Rodgers, you're right, by the way, Robert. He had 4 touchdown passes in that last performance. So never did it in a meaningful game playing for the New York Jets. 22 of 30, 244, 4 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers. Justin Fields, 16 of 22, 218, 1 touchdown, and 48 rush yards with 2 rushing scores.
Robert is looking like...
Check.
Yeah, hi, buddy.
Check.
How are you?
Well, now I'm just out here talking like I'm running the show. So how are you boys?
We're great. But as I said, more surprising, Rodgers' debut as a Steeler or Daniel Jones' debut as a Colt? Speechless again.
You have floored him again.
No, Fitz accidentally.
This time's on me. I got to figure it out. Let me be the one guy to take a victory lap. I said on all my shows last week that I thought Daniel Jones would be comeback player of the year and that the Colts are going to win the division. So that is my hot take. So I wasn't surprised by anything I saw from the Colts. Shane Steichen had tremendous success with Jalen Hurts as his quarterback and does a really good job game plan designing around somebody that's mobile. They also pick up Tyler Warren in the draft, who I thought was going to be a big part of that offense. Now they get the, Timu version of whatever Hurts can be in Daniel Jones. So I think Daniel Jones doing what he did stands out to me. So I expected that one. Aaron Rodgers, I have so much crow to eat on. You know this, Buck. I said Aaron Rodgers was washed. I said he was going to suck, and then he put up the best game we've seen in years. So I owe Aaron Rodgers an apology.
That is something that's going to be, cataloged all year long, the Aaron Rodgers saga. The Daniel Jones thing is fascinating here because, week 1 has a lot of weirdness associated with it. Obviously, week 1 has been a huge talking point here in Nashville, Tennessee, and anywhere where Tennessee Titans fans are paying attention to, because there are some things that are excusable from week one rust, Fitzy. What is inexcusable is what happened with the Titans coach on Sunday in Denver. I'm sure you're familiar with the situation now where Brian Callahan is asked about a rule or a play that he didn't challenge. He misspeaks in the press conference with an incorrect version of the rule. He later has to come back yesterday and correct himself, saying that he does, in fact, know the rule, but he got caught up in the moment of the press conference and simply misspoke. What do you make of the Titans head coach, given that the scrutiny on him now with a number one overall pick at quarterback is going to make him a weekly talking point?
Yeah, well, you can't be a reason that your rookie quarterback has a tougher time winning a football game. Like, Denver did everything they could to lose that football game. And I think there's some serious concerns about Bo Nix, who, by the way, did not look accurate enough to be an NFL quarterback in that game. I was stunned by Bo Nix's regression week one of season 2. But if you're talking about the Titans, it's coach's job to put his team in the best situation to win. My question isn't even just his understanding, Callahan's understanding of the rule. My question is, who's this guy that's supposed to be watching the replays? Like, every staff has somebody who's just in charge of buzzing down the coach and saying, we gotta review that one, or don't review that one. And that's the sort of consequence to that changes the entire way that a game plays out. We saw the same thing last night in Minnesota versus Chicago. Ben Johnson had a stupid challenge and it came back and haunted him. Like, where are the people on the staff that are supposed to be helping your coach? Where are your systems, your processes? Like, I guess I would ask everybody, pinpoint for me the thing that you say, you know what? Callahan has made this team demonstrably better at this. Give me the answer to that, because I don't see it from the outside looking in. And I'm first to admit, I'm not covering the Titans the way you are every single day. You see him in practice. Maybe you're seeing something we don't see from the outside looking in. But damn, I want my team's head coach to have something that we can say, here's the calling card. Here's what they're going to be great at because this guy's the head coach. I have no idea what that answer is for Callahan. I have no idea what benefit of the doubt he's earned. And I just feel like, if we're being honest, if we're a year ago right now and Eberflus does the same thing and the Bears lose a game, we're screaming about why Eberflus should be fired and should get out of the way of the development of Caleb Williams. What do you know what happened? He got fired and now they're trying to develop Caleb Williams. It's inevitable. The change is inevitable for the Titans. We're just going to have to suffer through a year where Cam Ward doesn't get what he deserves in his development process to get there.
Well, and that's the frustrating part about it, Fitzy, because there is harm that can come in turnover around a rookie quarterback. I know you know this at this point, but if it's ultimately not the right person to do the job, do you just stick with them at a default, or do you make a necessary change if you believe that change to actually be necessary? And to your point about what are the Titans better at under Brian Callahan than just their predecessors, for a starting point or even a calling card, there's not a single place, Lucas, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a single thing that they do well definitively in the year and a game of Brian Callahan that I can specifically point to. There's not an area that comes to mind when Fitzy, you use the word calling card, that is a calling card of a well-coached team by Brian Callahan and company.
So think about it for a second, because what I want from my favorite team's head coach, I want every coach to be like the cooking show Chopped. Open up your basket of ingredients, and no matter what you have in there, make me something divine, right? And I think if we're being honest, if we look back and we open Brian Callahan's Chopped basket while he was with the Bengals, he had filet. He didn't have Spam. He had filet. So now he goes somewhere where he doesn't have Joe Burrow, and we have to look around and say, okay, well, what does that really look like? Like, we're at a spot now with the Bills where at first it was, well, Daboll deserves a ton of credit. And then you're like, oh, actually, maybe Josh Allen is just Superman. Maybe he deserves all the credit. I think we're sort of in that same situation. Do we not know at this point that Joe Burrow is the reason that Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow? So now if we take the Joe Burrow success argument and we don't allow you, like, I'm going to put you in Law and Order and say you have to defend Callahan as a coordinator, as a coach, as a head coach, but you cannot use the phrase Joe Burrow. What else are you saying? The answer is nothing. And that's the hard part about all of this is, like, if you are not going to be that guy that brings one thing, then you've got to be that guy that brings everything. You got to be that guy that is whether it's a competition guy or a roster guy, like, you've got to have that thing. I don't think Callahan has it. It's why I think that they're doomed and why they should have put everybody on the same clock before the season started. The minute you knew you had the first overall pick, fire everybody and start over from scratch. Get a GM and a coach and a quarterback that are all on the same timeline, because now we're going to end up with, the inevitable, which is, Callahan doesn't work out. He ends up getting fired. Another offensive coordinator comes in. Cam's learning a second system. And then the new head coach comes in, and all of a sudden we're dealing with whether or not that's the right thing. And the GM's on a different clock. And before you know it, it's year 4 with 3 different coordinators. Like, this is the madness that is inevitable.
Yahoo Sports Daily is where you can find Jason Fitz. You can also hear him on Fox Sports Radio with me on Saturdays from 5 to 7 Central Time.
Fitz, the Packers win over the Lions, 27-13. More a sign that the Packers have arrived as a true Super Bowl contender, or of, as Robert, our producer, called it this morning, the brain drain within the Lions organization, or maybe a little bit of both?
So I came into this year down on the Lions because of the amount, not just the offensive and defensive coordinator. I mean, the Eagles are living proof. You change coordinators, it can go terribly wrong, but also all the position coaches that are gone, passing game coordinators, things like that. And it looked like it. So I'm concerned about the Lions, but I think the biggest takeaway was the surgical precision of Jordan Love. Like, I've been really hesitant to pile the praise on Jordan Love. He had 8 games in his rookie year that everybody really flocked to, and it's like, well, that's the reason we're going to pay him, and everything's going to be perfect, and it's going to be wonderful. I like proof of concept. I think the massive step forward you saw here was that Jordan Love was so definitive in what he was doing with the ball. His ball placement on the move was absolutely incredible. His ability to shift his weight and still get the ball across without putting it in harm's, absolutely incredible work by Jordan Love. If that is the Jordan Love we get all year, then absolutely. Like, I walked away saying, in the NFC, the most impressive performance we saw all weekend was the Packers, and it wasn't even close. And I think that even with acknowledging that the Lions will take a step back, the Packers and the way they beat up in that process, man, I'm scared of that team moving forward. And by the way, that's Micah Parsons on a pitch count with his body not even in shape yet. Wait until his back feels better and he's in football shape and he's unleashed. My God, that's it. Like, the Packers are definitely a Super Bowl favorite at this point.
Switching gears a little bit here, as Florida loses in upset fashion to South Florida, Billy Napier once again seems like he's on the ropes down in Gainesville. Fitz, is Florida the first team that you are plucking out of your college football playoff discussion in 2025?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, look at that schedule that's upcoming, too. Like, if Napier makes it to week 6, it'll be a miracle. Just because of the games that are coming up and the fact that they're not going to be competitive. And the problem is, the end of last year, Florida went on a run. So then everybody looks at it and says, Napier got it figured out. This is the danger when we see a hot streak. Is it just that they got hot, or is it got figured out? Remember, Mel Tucker, had one good year for Michigan State, and then all of a sudden he gets a $100 million contract, and what do you know? No Kenneth Walker, and all of a sudden Mel Tucker sucks, and they're trying to figure out how to get at him. So I think the comp here is that you went on a hot streak at the end of the year. Everything looked right. But when you were that close to firing somebody, it's like when you know you're in a problematic relationship and then it goes well for a month, it doesn't take much for you to get right back to God, this thing is just too much drama. I think that's where we are with Florida. And at this point, boosters are already just running collect. You can't lose that game. You can't lose that game in that fashion. And now you're about to get run out of the building for the next month. I'd be stunned if Napier makes it through the season.
I'm old enough to remember Jeremy Pruitt having one of the longest active win streaks in all of college football towards the end of, oh, goodness, what was that? The 2018 season that started with the Georgia State loss and so on and so forth. So it does feel like it's happening for real this time. Jason Fitz with us.
Fitzy, you and I were on the air on Saturday afternoon as the Texas result was wrapping up. And, of course, you can go check out that podcast if you are so inclined, where me and Fitzy are hanging out each and every week. Just search Fox Sports Radio in your favorite podcast app. The Arch Manning discussion for you and Steve Sarkisian is an ancillary part of this. They weren't up against the toughest competition, and finally they were overwhelming at a point where they just had more talent than the opposition, and they were able to roll. Matt Patricia wasn't on the other side of them, presenting him Arch defensive looks or Sarkisian defensive looks that most college coordinators or coaches or quarterbacks have probably never have seen nor will see, given the level of expertise that Patricia brought to that particular game. Where are you, though, on Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning and the level of pressure that is currently on the Texas program to win now?
I think the pressure is astronomical, and there's still a lot to go. Like, go back and watch that first quarter for Arch. I think he had 3 different balls that sailed on him that could have been picked. I mean, against basically Nashville Auto Diesel College, like, what are we talking about here? So if you're innocent, no offense, Nashville Auto Diesel College, but like, we're in this situation where Arch has got such lofty expectations. He's got a lot of development to do. The ball looks kind of funny coming off of his hand right now. And, there's work to be done in where he's going to be. Now, I think the most likely scenario is that Arch goes through his progression this year, and next year Arch and Texas are the maximum of what Arch and Texas can be. I think Arch and Texas are a much better national championship conversation next year than they are this year. We just heaped all these expectations because of the last name and the recruiting stars. It's just going to take more than that. And again, I'll go back to last year. Quinn Ewers was a shell of himself, was just absolutely getting beat up. Texas needed mobility late in the season. They needed help at the quarterback position. They had Arch on the bench, and Sark was like, nope, not ready for him. I just think that Sark and Arch have to get on the same page, and they have to develop together. That takes time, and nobody wants to give anything time. But by the end of the year, if Texas can survive the lumps that they have, by the end of the year, they will get into the playoff situation, and they will be very good. They will be one of the teams that can win it all. But would I be surprised to see them pick up a couple of losses along the way because Arch just doesn't quite get there? No. And also, that doesn't mean Arch sucks. It just means that Arch, like a lot of guys, needs some time to get to where he is. Like, I don't think that we can write the chapter or the book on Arch until we at least get through the chapter of half of one season started.
Tennessee hosts Georgia at Neyland Stadium this weekend. It's going to be a fascinating game. Josh Heupel has never beaten Kirby Smart as the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. Georgia not coming off their best performance by any stretch of the imagination, 28-6 over mighty Austin Peay just up the road in Clarksville from us. What is the most interesting storyline about Tennessee hosting Georgia this weekend, Fitzy?
Well, I have no dog in any fight. And for anyone listening that doesn't know this about me, I genuinely do not have a favorite college football team. So I'm a lover of chaos. That's why I love covering the sport, because I don't care who wins or loses. My God, I'm rooting for the Vols in this game. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I need the chaos of the Vols taking down Kirby and then trying to figure out what the hell we're supposed to make of this Georgia team. Georgia, like every Georgia team, is really, 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 really good defensively. We all know that. I just think there are still plenty of question marks about this Georgia offense and what they can do. My question is, can Heupel come in and just surprise Georgia? And what's lacked over the last couple of years is it feels like Kirby's been one step ahead every single time on what's coming. Heupel is known for having offenses that put guys in really good situations, but he's not known for necessarily across the college football community doing a ton of stuff that you can't see coming. He just does it well, right? The problem is Kirby's done it better for the last several years. So I think that there's going to have to be a wow moment early in this game. Like, I think the Vols are going to have to do something out of formation that nobody sees coming that really surprises Georgia. Offensively, they're going to have some level of trickery. They're going to have some level of less transparency when they run out of certain formations, I think, to get the best of Georgia. They can stop Georgia from scoring a ton of points. Again, I don't trust this Georgia offense. The question is, against Kirby, can they run up enough points to do it? I hope so. I'm hesitant.
Definitely going to learn a lot about both of these teams this weekend. But this past weekend, Fitz, was the trifecta. Yet another 3-for-3 weekend for Vols fans. Obviously, you get the win, take care of business against ETSU. You watch an arch rival go down in upset fashion. This time it was Florida against South Florida. And yes, Tennessee fans were once again hate watching Nico and UCLA at the end of the night, who struggled, made a late push, but in the end lose to UNLV. They're off to an 0-2 start. He doesn't have anyone blocking for him. He doesn't have anybody as far as wide receivers are concerned. And I was reading David Ubben this morning of The Athletic, who writes, Nico Iamaleava changed the market for quarterbacks. He was a trailblazer in the NIL game. Now he's looking like a cautionary tale. As Joey Aguilar, it's all smiles, and he's putting up a record 72 points in a game last weekend. Fitz, are you prepared to say that Tennessee has upgraded at quarterback after that whole fiasco, or do you have to wait and see what happens Saturday?
No, it's clear. And I saw Clay Travis tweeting about this on Saturday, too. Like, Nico Iamaleava has made one of the worst choices we've ever seen of a college-paid athlete. Like, there's just no two ways about it. In the modern NIL, he chose to bet on himself. The Vols looked at the price and said, you're not worth it. And they were right. In fact, I will tell everybody, as a kid from Vegas, I watched more UNLV football than the rest of Nashville combined. Like, my one view, I watched every snap of this game. And what was interesting about that game is leading into it, UNLV, mind you, UNLV was asked about UCLA's talent, and one of their defensive stars laughed and said, we're not worried about any of it. We've seen the tape. Like, think about that. They watched Nico on tape, and UNLV said, nah, we're good. Like, there is some level of statement here. As much as we can talk about what's around Nico, we can talk about whether or not UCLA is positioned anymore to make the best of anything. I don't think they are. In fact, the UCLA deciding to be part of the Big Ten is going to end up killing UCLA's relevance in college football for generations to come. Those are all true facts in my mind. But the fact is, UNLV was killing UCLA until they took their foot off the gas, and they'll learn from that. Dan Mullen went out and absolutely destroyed Nico, and he held on to the ball too long, and he didn't know where to go with it. He did all the things that make you wonder what if a college quarterback is even ready to play. He is far worse off not being with Tennessee. And Tennessee, you can't tell me, is any worse off.
No.
They might be better, but at the end of the day, at the very least, they are where they were, and they stood their ground against paying somebody that wanted too much money. I think every college football program in America was rooting for Tennessee to win because it does have some element of like, we will decide what the value is. And whether you love that or hate that, Tennessee took that stand, and Tennessee was clearly right.
At Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports Daily. You can check it out 9 to 11 a.m. That's Eastern, correct, Fitzy? 9 to 11 a.m.
Yeah,
Eastern?
9 to 11 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, 8 to 10 a.m.
To 11 a.m. Eastern. You can hang out with us on Fox Sports Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time. The Zone is a Fox Sports Radio app. So if we don't have live sports programming on the air, Fitzy and I are hanging out. You can also check it out via the podcast. Thank you, buddy.
Love you, Fitz.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a great week.
Oh, that was awkward for you, wasn't it?
He didn't hear you.
He
bud.
said it. He said it. Love you, boys.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay.
He said love you, boys.
I didn't hear it. I
He
think
said
it was...
love you, boys. Stop it. Trying to drive the stick between us, dude, all the time. Stop. He said it back.
Who are we missing? Let's see. Mac said it back.
Yes, he did.
Ted Wynn.
Ted Wynn said it back of the Athletic.
Yeah, he did.
Did Nate Wash has
No.
Nate said it yet?
Yeah, he did.
No.
Yeah, he was
No.
like,
I think Nate said it.
No, and KB said it too, man.
No,
KB
he didn't.
said it too.
He didn't. He laughed, and then he looked over his shoulder, and then he laughed again.
Because he hadn't heard from me. Because you don't ever talk about me. You don't ever bring pictures of me in your wallet.
Has Ben Jones said it back?
No.
Oh, I forgot to say it to Ben.
Ben Jones 5 days a week?
5 days. I thought he was exceptional.
People
I mean, despite all the
people
bootlicking.
It's such a weird thing for Paul to get upset about. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045. The number, I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you if you're experiencing performance issues. ED can wreck your confidence. It can impact your relationship, your mental health, and even your sense of identity. But there is good news. There's real help. Since 2014, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped thousands of guys get back to feeling like themselves. They don't offer you cookie-cutter treatments. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is urology-based and staffed with multiple licensed providers who specialize in men's sexual health. They use proven treatments tailored to your specific situation. No one size fits all. Too many guys rely on pills that don't work or come with nasty side effects. There are better treatments, and sometimes it's a combination of those treatments that finally unlock the results that you've been missing. So call them today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or book easily online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Last call for phone calls if you got them. 615-737-1045. Tomorrow, Titans are back on the practice field. Sure, the commentary out of the locker room will be very much on the page of turning the page and focusing on the problems that the Los Angeles Rams present the home opener. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. I'm sure Titans fans are excited to see Cam Ward in person. You should be excited to see Cam Ward. We've spent 2 days ripping the coaching, and the coaching deserves to be ripped after that situation. But the biggest football takeaway from that game is that Cam Ward can handle this if surrounded with things that are capable. He is not yet surrounded by things that are capable, whether it's receivers and drops, whether it's adequate offensive line play against a defense that is top-notch for sure. But Dan Moore, that may be the worst game that we see Dan Moore play all year, but it was bad. I mean, he had a hard time out there.
Big challenge for sure.
Big challenge.
I like that it didn't feel like Cam was trying to do too much, right? They weren't able to run the football, especially in the second half. Like Tony Pollard was on pace for a 100-yard game at halftime and then 30 total yards of offense in the second half. But through the drops late in the game, I saw Dan Orlovsky on Pat McAfee show today saying the Titans win if they don't have those drops. It's like, okay, well, a few more things would have had to happen than just Calvin Ridley catching that ball. But you're still in position. You're in Broncos territory. Even after everything that's happened, if Ridley just hangs on to that football, I don't know how much more yards after catch. You'd be at the 40 or better, right?
You give yourself a chance. The things that we're talking about. Cam Ward gave them a chance to win the football game. The drops, the penalties, the coaching robbed them of those things. Cam Ward is not so spectacular yet that he can overcome all three of those things working to his detriment. And those three things did work to his detriment on Sunday. But the thing that you should be most excited about is that the defense played its ass off. Jeff Simmons had untimely penalties. I don't know what to do about that. Jeff's been talking about, I need to be better on that for years at this point. At a certain point, he's just not going to get better at it. Jarvis Brownlee with the grabbiness. I mean, 3 penalties to himself. And then I know Jarvis is frustrated and he's tired of losing. And he didn't quite get I wouldn't describe it as choked up in a locker room afterwards, but he's clearly annoyed by people asking him if he was going to change his style of play. And he's doubling down and saying, I think the quote exactly was, "No, sir, I played good football." But, I mean, at a certain point, buddy, it's not good football if you're continuing to get penalized for it, and the officials know to look for you, so you're going to draw additional penalties that way, too. Anyway. Bryce in Nashville next. Hey, Bryce. Or, excuse me, Brian.
Hey, fellas. Yeah, so real quick on the coaching thing with the Titans, man. I like Callahan, but at a certain point, I think we give him, they give him 4 or 5 games, see if he keeps making these kind of bonehead mistakes. If that's the case, I'd say we turn the keys over to Denard Wilson. He seems like he's got his stuff together. But my real question for you guys is, I really need some help. I need some fantasy football advice. Do I throw in the towel on a quarterback in week 1 after Bo Nix does not look good and pick up somebody like Jordan Love or Daniel Jones?
Is Jordan Love pick-upable in your league?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, scoop him. Who's your backup?
My backup is Brock Purdy. And
drop him! Drop that broken toy! Drop that man that's going to get hurt in 3. Drop him and pick up Jordan Love!
Yeah,
yes.
You don't need us.
Jordan Love might get picked up, too. I'm not the top of the waiver order, so other than him, maybe somebody like...
Well, you better hope nobody in your league is listening to this because you may have just given away the game.
Who else is available on waivers? Let's get you a backup.
Okay, let's not do the whole fantasy football segment. Go get Jordan Love, and that's enough. Thank you, Brian.
Or Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones had 2 rushing touchdowns on Sunday.
And what is sneaky about that is quarterbacks that maybe not be on the same level as other quarterbacks that have a rushing element put you over the top. It's why Lamar Jackson is a sought-after fantasy quarterback, why Jalen Hurts is a sought-after. Daniel Jones could be that guy, especially on your bench.
He sure can.
And we should take more calls like that.
I defer to you on fantasy football.
I know.
I don't even.
Great.
I won my league last year, and I don't know how to log into my fantasy football app. I may actually need you to help me to do that. I don't know if I won or lost this week.
They kick you out of that league.
Why? I win. I'm the champion.
I hate people like you.
I'm the champion.
Yeah.
Team Auto Draft wins.
It doesn't matter.
AI wins.
There's a commissioner. A commissioner could kick you out.
Yeah, it's Kaharski. He's been trying for years, and I keep winning anyway. Suck it, nerds. William is in Nashville next.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Thanks for having me. real quick, it's nice to see all this national media coverage of how well Cam Ward played, and obviously
Sure.
coaching staff, offensive line, receivers let him down. Is this something that can change between now and the end of the year, or is the coaching and the offensive line going to stay like this?
Oh, I wouldn't, like, it is 1 week. Like, at the end of the day, it is 1 week.
Yeah.
You don't operate in definitives that way. Even I'm not that extreme. But, like, there is enough. I'm down on the coaches, or I'm down on the coach, because there is a pattern of behavior here that is informing certain things about the way that they fall short. Okay? That's my biggest thing. It's not week 1 for him. It's game 18 for him. And I don't think that you should be forgiven for making a mistake like that in game 18. The offensive line, excuses or not, Denver is excellent. Denver won that matchup. That was the matchup that we all expected Denver to win.
You also lost your right tackle throughout the course of it, and the whole discussion about the O-line leading up was we're not going to make excuses for the offensive line this year, but I don't think you can take what happened in Denver week 1 and just project that onto the rest of the season.
No,
Yeah.
they failed their week 1 assignment. Let's say that. Yeah? They failed their week 1 assignment.
Yeah. And somehow, again, we're still with the football down a score with a minute to go.
Sure. They failed their week 1 assignment. They do not get excuses made for them. They failed. They have a week 2 assignment. If they fail again, we can have a larger conversation. Los Angeles is an adequate defense. It's not as good a defense as what they just faced, but Indianapolis has players up front. God knows the Texans have players up front. Those are their next couple of weeks, so we can learn a great deal about them.
The Rams. Did you say the Rams?
I did say the Rams.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rams, the Colts, then the Texans. Those are their next 3 games, 2 at home, that final one on the road in week 4. So we will learn a great deal about the offensive line unit. I'm not going to make any declarations about anything, but the coach needs to do better today. That's really the only thing that I'm down on about the football team, because the defense improved. I trust that the offense will get better because Cam Ward is a better player than Will Levis. And the special teams situation has somebody with experience who is overseeing it and making sure that they don't make the egregious mistakes that they made a year ago. I don't know what to do about the penalties. I'm putting that at the feet of the head coach as well. It's his job to get those things corrected. They have not been corrected. In fact, they were one of the biggest issues that they had on Sunday. So I'm down on the head coach, but that doesn't mean I'm down on the team. All right. Polls?
No time. Presented by Two Rivers Ford. The lone poll of the day. Is the show over? Yes or no? 100% say yes. See y'all tomorrow.
Thank God. We appreciate you hanging out. Blade and Zach will keep you entertained. No prime time for me and Robert tonight. Enjoy.